And from an overcast Charlotte Motor Speedway, the throwback night of the Highline Racing League year of events is about to kick off as we head to Charlotte Motor Speedway for the inaugural Coca-Cola 300.5 distance qualifying event is already underway. 300 miles to set the score for this big one. It's going to be all about endurance with the next gens out of the picture. It's all about the Gen 4s here in America's home for racing. I'm your host for tonight's broadcast. I'm David Poitz, and we're kicking this one off in style. The 2005 era stock cars are back in action. Mike Tellier going to be there on your screen. We have over 20 of the best going at it here in qualifying with many memorable throwback schemes. The number 10 machine of Kendall Kerr making his way around. We're just getting this one started. No championship standings to think of. This is all the marbles in a one event. As we get this one started, all the throwback marbles are in for this one showdown. 200 laps, 300 miles, and one big winners. We have 1 minute and 52 seconds remaining on the qualifying charts. Right now, the number 12 machine of Scott Zellner is at the top of the chart, a defending winner in the Premier Series. Now finds himself up front in the Gen 4s as well. The Highline Racing League bringing you this special event as many drivers and many paint schemes have already gone around for their first few qualifying laps. One of which going to be Bronson Stafford now in third. Stafford, an open entry for tonight's event, is not a Highline racer by trade, but we find him here and he's looking pretty quick. Only 44 thousandths of a second off of the top spot with Garrett Sidnor now up high, as a total of 16 drivers, going back to Mike Tellier, have taken time. Terry Brooks going to be now in 5th as Joshua Soucy puts it in a position number 10 in the number 25. Shades of Joe Nemechek in the early 2000s for Hendrick Motorsports. Every paint scheme here has a story. We'll be telling all the tales all night long. Stick around for all the highlights and the lows of these incredible drivers, their paint schemes, and the stories that come along the way. Garrett Sidnor right now in the number 16, working his way off the high side, and Sidnor comes home as a champion in the Texaco Truck Series on Tuesdays. He's been one hell of a driver in this league, now looking to back that up, running with the best of them, and he goes up to 5th here in his second and last qualifying run. Good start for the number 16 as the Greg Biffle throwback makes its way down to the apron. Terry Brooks going to be on the circuit. So is Kenny Brooks. Right now, the only driver taking a qualifying lap in full is the number 8 Budweiser machine of not Dale Earnhardt Jr., but this time around, it is the number 8 of Alan Goodman. Race information edited to have your throwback schemes up on the top of your screen all night long as we say goodbye to qualifying and say hello to the main event. Qualifying, it is over, and as it stands, Scott Zellner, after his 12th win in the Premier Series, finds himself position number 1 in the grid. And we're going to get to your starting grid on your screen in just a moment, as right now the track only occupied by a select few. Now Chance Duckworth, one of which on your screen. Many past, present, and perhaps future Premier Series drivers here tonight, and they all come together for one big race. 300 miles, nothing else. It's going to be all this race or nothing. And for the first time in the year, it's the Highline Racing League using the Gen 4s. Now, we've got word that Season 16 of the Premier Series is expected to use these stock cars, but we're testing them out for one good show before it all comes down to the marbles and the championship standings, a one for all and an all for one, before all that becomes in a picture very short time. Tonight, the picture, it's going to be focused on the number 12 machine as we say hello to the starting grid. Without further ado, let's kick this off. This is your starting grid for tonight's special event, the Highline Racing League Coca-Cola 300. On the top spot on the board, it's going to be Scott Zellner with a 30.04 right beside Kendall Kerr. Top 2 separated by only 18 thousandths of a second, and it's going to be Kendall Kerr with a 30.058 there in position number 2. New driver with these guys, it's going to be your new men on row number 2. Bronson Stafford going to be third in a 30.084, and then Joshua Soucy in the 25 going to be there with a 30.1. Just inside the top 5, Garrett Sidnor rounds it out with a 30.151. Scott Wheeler going to be position number 6, 30.157 for your Season 14 Premier Series champion, as Matthew Rodriguez in the 83 Red Bull machine finds himself in 7th with a 30.197. Terry Brooks going to be in 8th with a 30.205. It's going to be Kenny Brooks in 9th and Chad Winstead in 10th as we're rolling already for our pace lap. Ryan Potter going to be in 11th with Brad Crescent 12th, Tyler Rush 13th, James McKee position number 14 with Robert Kenny in 15th. It's going to be Dylan Body in the 16th spot. In the 26th, Alan Kuman in the 8th, going to be 17th with Chance Duckworth in the 18th spot. Mike Tellier going to be 19th, and then Casey Heschel rounds out the top 20, the first man without a timed lap. To round out your field, it will be Dylan Petit in 21st, Justin Gibbs in the 22 spot in the 9 machine, and your final man to race tonight going to be Patrick Green in that number 20, 24th and last out of those that are going to drive. I'm David Kreutz. I won't be driving, but it looks like my name is there nonetheless. And that is your starting grid for tonight's event, the Coca-Cola 300 in the Highline Racing League, and every driver, they are pumped. This is the race that they've all been waiting for. The Gen 4s, a very talent-based car. It's all about your wheelhouse. If it is yours, you're going to do very well. If it is not, you're going to be in an awful lot of trouble. But as Scott Zellner comes down to the inside line on this start, it's going to be the pace car in and the Zellner machine leading the way. Let's get going for 300 miles here in Charlotte. It's the Coca-Cola 300 in the Highline Racing League, and we are green for the first time tonight. And as Scott Zellner makes it around for lap number 1, it's going to be Zellner leading the way here in the number 12 machine with Kendall Kerr not too far behind in second. We're just getting things started here. We've got over 200 laps prepared. Of course, qualifying counted the laps that mattered. And for Scott Zellner, he stays in that top spot, has not relinquished it just yet. Going to be Garrett Sidnor going way high right now. Nice and smooth. The 16 going to move way up there. Almost gets in the wall, able to save it and keep on going. It looks like a total of 23 drivers made it to your grid, last of which going to be Justin Gibbs right now in the 23rd spot, the number 9 machine. Caleb Morrissey, your usual number 6 in the Premier Series, coming to the chat saying, hoping for a good race. Good luck, y'all, and good luck. They're gonna need it. This is one of the trickiest combinations in all of iRacing. These Gen 4s have a lot more power than the next gens. That much is a given, but alongside the more unprepared nature of using these cars after so long with the newer stock cars, there's also the track factor. It's going to be Charlotte, a day-to-night event. We've got at least an hour and a half scheduled for the racing, and as we go side by side for the lead, Kendall Kerr has a slight edge coming off of the 4th lap's backstretch. The top 2 now separated by about a tenth and a half as they work their way off. And going into 3 and 4, once again, our onboard cameras are not the best they can be. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to take a brief break and come right back. They're going to be side by side for a second right now, but it's no worry. We'll be back in about 15 seconds at the very most, as it's going to be the 25 and the 12 going neck and neck for position number 2. Fighting as hard as they can, and they are keeping it moving. Right now, Scott Zellner fades back into 3rd as the 25 works down the back as well. Now Garrett Sidnor is going to be in tow with Scott Zellner. It's going to be Bronson Stratford, as a matter of fact, in that number 17 machine, holding on strong in the top 5 and doing a very good job. Your debutants in the Highline Racing League, as we saw in the Casey Heschel Chili Bowl earlier this season, they're doing very good work. Sousey finds himself in the 2nd spot in that number 25, and with 6 laps in already, it's the Valvoline number 10 who leads the way. And Valvoline's number 10, an iconic car in its own right. Valvoline and NASCAR, you might know it for the partnership they had, of course, with Mark Martin, and in the recent times, Hendrick Motorsports with guys like Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott. For a brief moment in time, though, in a saga of sponsors, liars and lawyers. It was the number 10 driven by Johnny Benson, as Benson struggled to make it through the early 2000s as a Cup driver. He was, of course, at that time in 2001 and 2000 as well, caught up with Tyler Jet Motorsports in MB2. He was sponsored by Lycos way back when, and when Lycos, they cut the bill, the checks bounced, the number 10 needed a new sponsor, barely made to Indianapolis with a team, and Valvoline, choosing to break off their milestone deal with Mark Martin, went to the number 10 operation for MB2, and there is where Johnny Benson was able to flourish. Got his own one and only Cup win with the Valvoline machine, and from there on out had a very successful career in the NASCAR trucks. Your 2008 champion there, but he might be best remembered for being a Cup machine with that number 10. It's all about perspective, though. Johnny Benson, a well-known truck driver, but in his Cup days, he was quite the legend as well. Right now, the 25, another legend of the National Series, but maybe not the Cup Series. Joe Nemechek in the number 25, way back when, in the early 2000s, drove indeed for Hendrick Motorsports. Nemechek, best known as a journeyman driver, of course, to this day, at one time, found himself with the best team in NASCAR. In 1992, he battled for the Busch Series Championship with Bobby Labonte and Jeff Gordon. Guess what? The 25, well, Joe Nemechek, the pilot for the early 2000s, won that battle, and from there on out found himself with a variety of different teams. Larry Hendrick, I believe he started with first, kept going back and forth, and by the time Ricky Craven was out of the Hendrick staple, it was the 25 of Nemechek brought on, as Jerry Nadeau got injured as well in a vicious hit at Richmond. Now, the 25 was driven by Joe Nemechek to a victory in Richmond in 2003, I believe, if memory serves me right. He was eventually able to get his final win not over 2 years later at Michigan against Ricky Rudd in the 01 for MB2. That 01's got a legacy of its own, but the 25 right now going very strong in second as the number 16, a throwback to the Biff, finds itself out in front. Garrett Sidnor winning ways, he's trying to replicate them. Greg Biffle with the throwback in mind for this Ford Taurus machine, and as it goes right up high, he's working it very well. Roush Racing at one time in the NASCAR world was a powerhouse, of course now called RFK Racing. When it was all about that Roush Fenway group, they had a powerhouse team. They had guys like Kurt Busch, Mark Martin, Matt Kenseth, and of course Greg Biffle was part of that fold as well. The number 16, he found himself as a Roush driver from the very beginning. A Truck Series champion, worked his way up through the national levels, and eventually made his way into Cup. His best career finish in the overall point standings, a second in 2005. The Ford Taurus was not used in 05, but in the early years of Greg Biffle's career, this Taurus driven to many great results and victories. Biffle came back for one final start in 2019 for the Truck Series, won it, and what a way to walk off a career. Great job for the 16, and right now Garrett Sidnor replicating his likeness, holding on strong up in front. Joshua Southey, one of those other Hendrick guys, is far back right now, but one of the Roush guys finds itself up in third. Matt Kenseth, a driver who needs no introduction, one of the 75 greatest drivers according to NASCAR, a champion in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2003, and always a consistent threat to the day he retires. The 17 driven by Bronson Stratford right now finds itself in third and throwing it back to the Ford Fusion era, so a bit late on the agenda. Early 2000s, we go to the late 2000s as the DeWalt colors are far out of picture. Besides the back end, Matt Kenseth went through quite a few sponsors later in his career, and it looks like R&L Carriers was one of them. Let's take it a little bit further. The Rocket Man and Penske. It was Ryan Newman from the early 2000s lighting the world on fire. Now you see by the quarter panel, this is a throwback to the 2007 season, I believe, a Sony HD TV, and this time, this is a bit of an overall fact, not just NASCAR. The digitization of television was in the early to mid 2000s. They planned it, and by 2009, analog TV was no more. So this is a bit of a later throwback for most of our paint schemes. The Rocket Man able to win his first Daytona 500 in 2008. You saw him recently try to qualify for the NASCAR All-Star race at North Wilkesboro. Unfortunately, not able to do it. A hell of a competitor Ryan Newman was, and right now Scott Zellner, he always represents a very tough competitor, racing race out. So the number 12 right now doing very good up high. He started on the pole position, has worked his way back into 4th, and with 16 laps in, there's not a lot to panic about. Matthew Rodriguez in a very peculiar scheme. I don't think a lot of fans will remember Red Bull racing, especially if they're on the younger side, but before Red Bull went big time in Formula One and other motorsport, they found their way into NASCAR. And who led that team? Who else but Gunther Steiner? Of course, Steiner finds himself at Haas right now, but Red Bull's NASCAR program, it didn't always work out, but it had some highlights. Of course, guys like Casey Kane came over in his layover season in 2011, but in the early 2000s, it was about guys like Scott Speed. Speed and Ricky Stenhouse, they tangled in the ARCA series for the championship in 08. They both lost it because of a last race wreck. But the 83, it's always been a bit of a back and forth car, driven by guys like Brian Vickers in the later portion of his career. The 83 having a better than average run, I'd say, compared to the real world counterpart, holding on inside the top 5. And how about a champion in his own, Scott Wheeler, right now in position number 6. Your season 14 champion in the 97 as of usual, but as he works his way down the back with Matthew Rodriguez right in front, it's Wheeler in the 99. Sitco throwback to Jeff Burton. The Roush machines are up in front, and they are seen in spades. We've got 3 of them inside the top 10 right now, and if he can get up to Rodriguez, now battling deep for position, it could be 3 inside the top 5. Now, I do believe that Jeff Burton has gotten a bit of an overshadowed career as of recent. Of course, the Burton family still goes on racing. Harrison Burton in Cup, Jeff Burton a winner this season in Xfinity, but that number 99 machine, Jeff Burton, he started the fire alongside Ward Burton, and those two were contenders on the best of days. Burton was a contender for a championship, and I believe, a fun fact, he was the final driver to lap the entirety of a field, and that was in New Hampshire in around 1999. That predates me by quite a lot, but still a very interesting statistic. We'll never see that again in NASCAR, the way things are going. Stage breaks, we don't have them here in the Highline Racing League, but they do exist in the Cup Series world, in the real world. Of course, that is a statistic we will not expect to see once again. How about a Dodge mixing it up here up in front? That's Terry Brooks in a Stacker 2 Dodge Mopar machine, and right now charging through in that Charger, finding its way throughout the field. The 23 for Bill Davis Racing stacked up against a great field right now, and the 23 up high on the 99. Chad Winstead in the Viagra number 6. That car needs no introduction. When Mark Martin had Valvoline leave Roush Racing, another Roush machine, my oh my, that number 6 had a deal struck out with Pfizer, and Viagra became one of the title sponsors on that operation. Of course, Viagra did not see a lot of merchandising because, of course, the nature of the product, but Pfizer took the brunt of the load in all of the merchandising. You've seen many Pfizer cars, but tonight the big Viagra paint scheme comes out to play. Martin, a perennial championship contender until even 2009. Not bad for a guy who started his career in the late 1970s. An American Speed Association champion, a multi-time contender for the championship and Cup, second place in the title 5 separate times over 2 decades. The time span was. The number 6 finds himself in 9th right now with a lot of ways to go. And for a man who won it 5 times in a row, look no further than Jimmy Johnson in the Power of Pride paint scheme, represented this time by one of your favorites for the Premier Series Championship in James McKee. That number 48 machine currently holds on inside the 10th spot, and Jimmy Johnson, another career as famous as ever. He's raced in Indycar, he's raced in INSA, but he cut his teeth in the NASCAR Cup Series. Jeff Gordon scouted him out to Rick Hendrick, and in 2001, Jimmy Johnson made his debut in a Power of Pride scheme. Not the one you see on your screen, but the patriotic red, white, and blues colors they stuck throughout the entirety of his career. The 7-time champion 5 times in a row. That bested the record that Cale Yarborough had. The 48 right now looking to claw up in front. James McKee knows that number 48 won an iconic battle in 2005 with Bobby Labonte. He'd love to replicate that once again. No 18 machine in the field tonight, but the 48 could strike some fear in the hearts of these drivers as we go on. Casey Heschel in the Furniture Row, number 78. We all know them for their winning ways with guys like Martin Truex Jr. and eventually picking up the driver of the 77 and Eric Jones, but before that, Furniture Row was a bit of a field filler. This is, I believe, a specific throwback to Kenny Wallace in 2007. The Denver Mattress Company found themselves on the back of the grid week after week before picking up top talent like Kurt Busch and Martin Truex later down the road. The number 78 right now representing their early years. It's a quite abstract paint scheme, if I do say so myself, and very minimal. And right now, a good run just at the midway point of the field we go to Casey Heschel and then Brad Kress. Kevin Harvick in his retirement season ran this paint scheme in a bit of a different variation one last time at North Wilkesboro just a week ago. The 29 for good wrench, an iconic combination after the passing of the late Dale Earnhardt. Kevin Harvick got strapped in for his NASCAR Cup Series career, and he never looked back. The 29 won his third Cup Series start at Rockingham, as it's going to be Casey Heschel up in the wall that time by, and from there on out, Brad Kress representing a legend. Kevin Harvick, one of the best to do it, the Cup Series champion in 2014, and when he became a champion with Stewart-Haas, with Richard Childress, it all began. And right now, Brad Kress trying to light the fuse and get up in front, just got a pass on your screen. As right now, Ryan Potter represents the number 43 Dodge machine. That's going to be the 43 of John Andretti, and this was a bit of a dark time in the history of Petty Enterprises. Richard Petty, he's a driver well known by any NASCAR fan, but after his retirement in 1992, it got a bit troublesome for the franchise team of NASCAR to keep on operating. That number 43 for Pillsbury right now, representing a time after STP parted ways, and they became a bit of a merchant for consumer foods such as General Mills and the aforementioned Pillsbury brand with a Pillsbury man on the car. And John Andretti, one of the final men to win in the number 43 at Martinsville in '99. The feat would not be seen once again until Eric Almirola in 2014, and then Eric Jones in 2022 at Darlington in the Southern 500. The 43 still on hard times with Legacy Motor Club, but this was seriously one of the worst times it could have been for that team. The adversity of the loss of Adam Petty's sponsorships leaving and declining performance on track, it's a miracle they bounced back, and it's still great to see that iconic Petty blue on the track, but it's a throwback to a different time. The early 2000s were quite the time, as they had drivers like Christian Fittipaldi coming in, and it was just a rotating door, a revolving door for Petty way back when. Ryan Potter holding on strong, though, as we look back to the Kenny Brooks machine, the National Guard, or lets Tyler Rush go right by, and the 54 going to lay back with yet another machine on the pursuit. It's now going to be a few battles in the mid-pack here, and that's going to get us through to just outside the top 15. The first 30 laps are in, and we've told the stories of some of the greatest paint schemes in NASCAR. Let's go up in front and see what's going on with the battles. As a matter of fact, now there is a battle. It's going to be Bronson Stratford up in front, and Stafford now finds himself about 0.3 of a second ahead of Scott Zellner. Zellner now going to be right there for the taking. Ryan Newman was great at this track in his heyday. A pole machine, one of the highest positions all time in the list of poles on NASCAR's all-time pole list. He will be there for certain. And we ripped around this track at speeds of just about 200 miles an hour. It was unlike anything any driver had ever seen before. The Rocket Man had the nickname for a purpose. Even when he was a rookie in 2001, he came in, lit the field on fire, and there was nothing to stop him from there on out. Currently, he finds himself in second as the number 17 leads the way, and the closest battle on the racing circuit actually appears to be right behind us. Matthew Rodriguez chasing Scott Wheeler, and Wheeler getting right there to the inside line of Kendall Kerr. These two have battled time and time again. As a matter of fact, last time we went racing in the Premier Series, these two brought out the caution that changed the entirety of this race. It's what led Scott Zellner to the victory. It was Kendall Kerr, Scott Wheeler getting involved with about 5 laps to go, and then we had a restart that was brought on to an early close as a certain tire strategy mix-up that the drivers did not play well with. Some guys on new, some guys on old, and it led to that number 2 machine in the Premier world coming out on top. Down low, though, 33 laps in, the low line seems to be preferred. It's going to be the number 16 of Garrett Sindler trying to keep the door shut, but look at that gain. Scott Wheeler now getting back on that bumper once again. Right down low, they take it through, and you can see off the rear view camera here, It's going to be very close for the 99 one more time. Side by side now for position number 3, and 34 laps in. No yellow flag has fallen, and we've already seen a 300-mile race this week on FTN. There was only one yellow flag, and it came within the first 20 laps. So at this pace, we might be able to get this one in without a caution all night long, and what a great race it would be if that were the case. 300 miles is nothing to sneeze at, and for these drivers, they're just getting started. But right up high, now Garrett Sindor fading back to Kendall Kerr, and the inside line proving key if you can save those tires. And then we saw that Garrett Sindor was ripping that high line with a lot of speed, as there's going to be a big wiggle for Joshua Soucy that time by. Now there's going to be an even closer battle between 3 cars, dogfighting to stay inside the top 5. Soucy right down low in that number 25 machine, goes right up high once again, blocking 2 lanes at once, slicing, dicing, and now that number 25 finds himself in front of 2 all over again. The Mark Martin number 6 goes right down low, and for Viagra, he's going to try to make that gap a bit longer. He gets close, no cigar that time by. The number 6 will back off just a bit. Dylan Body going to come down to pit road, and it looks like a bit of damage on his end. We'll find out just what happened live on FTN. It looks to be your first instant replay of this night, as it was the number 26 in the wall that time through, and he rubbed it up quite a bit. You could see some damage on the wheel well on that right front, and that might be too much to continue with for the number 26. Bad news there. Body's down on pit road, and as we look right back, the Crown Royal machine now finds itself right down on pit road. Racing royalty Jamie McMurray never turned out to be, and it looks like the 26 in a bit of trouble as well. However, McMurray had a few great wins and some great saves to go along the way. A win at Daytona and a win at the Brickyard, as well as an all-star race victory at Charlotte. Nothing to sneeze at, and Dylan Body, a competitive driver as well. Just a wrong place, wrong time, and unfortunate to see another driver get caught up in an incident just like that. Nothing's going to come out for that single car. Nothing more, nothing less, as the 99 of Scott Wheeler gets by. It's Kendall Kern now in front of Garrett Sindor. Big Chad Winstead fades to 6th. Now Matthew Rodriguez is a half second back. Big changes up and down around the field. The 83 machine now has many drivers right there on him, and we can look in the 25's perspective. No, we'll look in the 23 as he finds himself caught between a rock and a hard place. Right down low, it's going to be Terry Brooks going, and he's got the UAW Delphi machine going to the inside line. He can try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. That's how close he appears to be as they come off the backstretch once again. It looked like Brooks almost tapped the wall, and the 25 stays right down low with James McKee. They're in 10th. 39 laps in for the taking here in the Highline Racing League Coca-Cola 300. And as the sun begins to set slowly but surely, we're in for a great race to the end of this one. Now, we saw in the Integrity Ignite Series a 300-lap race there as well. The sun, when it sets, the race, its pace begins to shift. These guys might not be pushing as hard as they are right now. If you're the best driver without the sun, you might be the best to go get the win. Right now, Scott Zellner finds himself up in front once again, and even though he's now stretching that lead out big, it might come back to bite him. If you're good before the sun sets, you might not be good at the end. You might almost be upset as a driver to see that, as now it's going to be Bronson Stratford coming in this time by. Stafford there with Garrett Sindor. In your first 2 competitive pit stops down and in. Casey Ashel does not go that time by. Only 2 make it through the 17 of Stafford, and it's going to be Dylan Petit now on his way in the Ward Burton number 22 Caterpillar machine. A bit of damage on that right side as well. Keep an eye out for that. Nothing major, and he should be able to continue, but 41 laps in, and your leader comes down a pit road this time by. That's going to be Scott Zellner down in the number 12 All-Town machine, followed shortly thereafter by the driver in that number 99. Scott Wheeler makes it through as well. Nice and smooth for him. And with this being the pace, it's 40 laps per stint approximately. These guys would have about a 4-stint race to go on from here to the checkered flag. That's a bit of a risky position to be in, but of course these things are gas guzzlers. more power than the new usual ARCA cars on this platform, and now as they've faded in their tire wear and their speed overall by 2 seconds a lap, you gotta consider coming in to get that new set of Goodyear rubber in. Chad Winstead opts to do so here and now. The number 6 is down and in as Kendall Kerr now leads the way by a total of 2 seconds, and the undercut might be the way to go. That's how slow these guys get after a long run in Charlotte. 32 seconds a lap does not sound bad around this track, but when you compare it to the 30.3 that Best got put down by the leader, that is bad news. 2 seconds a lap slower than the absolute best will be lapped down in 15 laps time, and James McKee, he sees the sign, comes in with Brad Kress's usual teammate. Now the Blacktop boys 2 of 4 are in, and Kenny Brooks 2 to follow them as well. The 54 makes his way through, and now we only have a total of about 15 guys who are on the circuit, and even less than that with the same set of tires. Pit road is getting busy, and it's only just begun. The Valvoline number 10 this time by does not opt to go in, and I believe he's going to try to stretch it to lap number 50. It's going to be risky to do so. 3 stops from there on out if he makes it all the way, and trying to get a good set of rubber in later is the game plan for the number 10. It's going to be about long runs and short runs all night long. Some guys coming in to relieve themselves of the burden of having an ill-handling and very slow driving machine, be it a Chevy, a Ford, a Dodge, what have you. It seems like the driver of that number 10 does not want to let this one go, relinquishing this lead. He cannot do that in the position he's in. Just keep on moving until it becomes undrivable. That seems to be the game plan as 2 other drivers go in Matthew Rodriguez and Terry Brooks. A Toyota and a Dodge in the same field. How about that? Making their way down in. You don't see that all too often in the real world. I don't think you ever have, short for the very brief period they overlap in the early 2000s and the 2010s, the late 2000s. My apologies there. It's been almost a decade, even more than a decade now, since Dodge dropped out of the sport as Kendall Kerr comes down in. Make room for the Pontiac and another manufacturer that is out of the sport, Pontiac and General Motors. That brand folded in the financial crisis of 2008, and we have not seen it in NASCAR since 2003. Its big walk-off win of sorts was the 2003 Southern Carolina Dodge Dealers 400, where Ricky Craven and the PPI Motorsport team got it over the big dogs of Kurt Busch and Roush Racing for a 2/1000th of a second win. Ryan Potter right now scored as your leader. Right behind him going to be Tyler Rush in the 24 and Patrick Green in that number 20. Rush now racing with some lap machines here as the 43 goes down and in. That's going to be Ryan Potter going right through, and Bronson Stafford might cycle up to this lead. As it stands, he leads those on the new set of tire. He has a 6-lap-old stint compared to Scott Zellner's 5 and Scott Wheeler's 5 as well. Chad Winstead on a young set with only 4 laps on it, and James McKee with only 3 on it. It's Kendall Kerr on pit road. Now out, he's got the newest set of them all. He has a brand new set compared to your leader who's on a 7-lap stint. Patrick Green down in the number 20. So is Ryan Potter in the 43. Last man standing is Tyler Rush, and Rush will get that lap led, and he will settle for just that. The DuPont number 24 makes its way in. And that being said, it's going to be Bronson Stafford taking the race lead as the Monte Carlo 24 makes its way down to pit road. The longest stint we saw was a total of 49 laps long, and now the number 17 leads the way without much competition, at least for the time being. And even though Stafford finds himself up in front by a total of 3 seconds, we saw Bronson was not able to manage those tires in the long run. In the case we go all the way, which becomes all the more likely with no yellow during your first cycle, these drivers will struggle with tire management throughout the night. You got many opportunities to make it work, but the sooner you get it to click, the better off you'll be the rest of the way. As the number 17 machine makes it down to the apron one more time, 50 laps in here from Charlotte Motor Speedway, and the number 17 leads the way by a dominating margin. It's far from over though, and 50 laps out of 200 is a very, very short distance, and the 17 will make it down and in once again without anything to worry about just yet. The 17 for R&L Carriers carries himself to the front as Scott Zellner remains in second, and he's got the field to battle with right now. It's Garrett Sidnor on his tail, and Garrett very fast in those short runs might have set himself up to get back to this point just about a quarter of the way through this race. It's gone by like a flash. That's how quick we've been working. Time flies when the drivers are having fun, and with no yellow flags out just yet, it's been one impressive show as almost halfway to 100 and then some. The driver of the 16, Garrett Sidnor, now in the podium. From there on out, you see Scott Wheeler just outside of it. Going to be Chad Winstead in 5th and James McKee in 6th. The closest battle right now going to be for position number 18. Alan Kuhlman going to be 19th, and then Tyler Rush in 18th. And as they work their way off the back, Tyler Rush does in fact have the edge. The reason being Alan Kuhlman on an older set of tire, and even a 2-lap deficit like the one we see right now is a big deal. And for Budweiser, the king of beers, as you see on the hood, they're not having a king-like run, but it can all turn around in the blink of an eye. Has it done so far? No, but there's still so much time remaining, you can't count yourself out. Right now, one man who's not counting himself out is Bronson Stafford, now up in front of the field by a total of 4 seconds. Simply nobody else on that level. We see a total of now 3 drivers down on pit road. Now, 1 lap down, Patrick Green is, so is Chance Duckworth and Robert Kenny. Looks like Dylan Body is out of this race for the remainder of the show. The number 26 finds himself in 23rd. 17 laps down and counting. Make it 18 as it's now lap number 54. The number 17 leads by 4 flat seconds, but he's got machines catching him. And the next up going to be Patrick Green trying to put himself 1 lap down to the lead lap in just a backstretch's time. He is quicker, but how much quicker, we'll find out as they work their way back down. The number 20 for Home Depot trying to put it all into work once again as he comes off of turn number 4. He's definitely quicker that time by and should be able to make it stick. Does not go for that time by, goes down low, and now going to try to work the leader off of the corner, and that he does. Good work there for the number 20, and now back on the lead lap as the number 17 does in fact lose a bit of time, 3/10 worth to be exact. So Scott Zellner, while he does gain a bit of time back on the leader, has many drivers chasing him, not just Garrett Sidnor, but now Scott Wheeler. And then the lap machine right behind in Robert Kenny. And now the 99 machine holding on up and down the steering wheel. It is bobbing. The 16 going to be side by side with them at the line. It looks like Sidnor will get it once again. However, the 99 now has that optimal line heading into the next corner. Might set yourself up to get at the timing line, but if you can't defend for that next lap, you're all but done for, and you'll have to sit down by the wayside and let them all go right by you. That time through, it's going to be the 99 machine of Scott Wheeler on the inside, and not done with the pass just yet, but he's near clear just like that. A lap's worth of work, and he goes down to the inside line, and once again, Scott Wheeler now going to be able to make it clear, and coming down on the front stretch all the same. The 99 out in front of the 16, a familiar sight. Roush machines are 1st, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. It is Roush domination so far. Shades of the 2004 season, where I believe they got half of their drivers, half of which were the entirety of the chase. 5 Roush machines, 10 drivers, and astonishingly, they did not win that championship. So it was 2005 because Kurt Busch won it in 03. Kenseth in 04, I think I got a vice versa there. It was Kenseth 03 and Kurt Busch in 2004. However, in 2005, they pushed through half their drivers in the chase, and the man who got it done, it was who else but Tony Stewart. However, the Roush dominance might come to an end if that number 10 machine of Kendall Kirk can catch back up to Chad Winstead. Right now, he has a younger tire set than all of the top 5, and he'll come into his best laps in very short time. He'll be there later than the drivers up in front are, so he'll have the opportunity to chase them down without much to worry about. Last time by, was 3/10 of a second faster than the man in 5th, and was a half second faster than your leader. The only problem right now is he's about 10 seconds off your leader overall, and your leading man is over 4 seconds away from second. The gap between third and fifth is about even to the gap between second and first, and that goes to show how well Bronson has ran so far. 59 laps in, and simply nobody yet on his level. Coming down to the inside line, and once again, Bronson. Stafford going to be able to take him through, and the Stafford machine racing seems to be in his blood. 60 laps through, the Fusion has been fused to the track with no other competition out in front. A great race for this 17 so far. He's got Scott Zellner still second, and then Scott Wheeler third. Derek Sidler's in fourth, and Chad Winstan's in fifth, and one man goes down to the inside line. Yellow flag, 60 laps in for the first time tonight. That's going to be a spinning number 22 of Dylan Petit, and the yellow flag will fall for the number 22. Let's look at just what happened as the 22 goes around on his own. That was still bring out the yellow. And 61 laps in, it's been a good run so far, that is for certain. And now one man goes down and around, the first of which Dylan Petit, and he just loses it off of corner number 4 and gets it down to the apron. Safety yellow, nobody hits him, and we're good to go. The spin triggers the automatic yellow flag, and the number 22 caught up in his own mind there and finds himself in the wall. Just like that, sending it back live on FTN. Your drivers up in front are now at pace speed for the first time all night long. Comes down to a caution, and 61 consecutive laps ran under green. A great benchmark to kick this one off. And we are far from done from here on out. The 17 goes now to the inside line. He'll have Scott Zellner following him through, with Scott Wheeler now in third and Garrett Sidnor in fourth. On to pit road they go, and it's going to be the 17 leading them all through. Let's see what he's got in store for these guys as he makes his way in. Well, the sun begins to shine, and the sun begins to set. An overcast day in Charlotte Motor Speedway we've seen so far, but now the night sky begins to show itself. Tyler Rush is going to lead, and the number 12 machine has that pole position stalled. Will it work out? Coming off of this pit road will be the judge of that. It's going to be Scott Wheeler winning off pit road this time by, and following him it's going to be the number 17 of Bronson Stafford. Then it's going to be Scott Zellner, the number 6 with a 16, so it's going to be Winstead, Sidnor, Justin Gibbs, Mike Tellier, Brad Kress, Kendall Kerr, Gaze McKee, Terry Brooks, Matthew Rodriguez, Casey Heschel, and then Joshua Sousty with Ryan Potter. Everyone comes off a pit road in succession, and as it stands, it's Tyler Rush who leads the way, and we don't do this all too often because these guys usually get green flag runs, but given this is a special event, how about we get a word with someone out in front? What about your winner off of pit road? The 97 machine, he's a proven winner in this league, and tonight he finds himself in position number 2, 62 laps in, and Scott Wheeler, as it stands, the driver of that number 99 tonight, and as we make him a member of the broadcast booth, trying to drag him into this one. Currently, position number 2 with 62 laps in. How's it felt up in front in the Coca-Cola 300?
That hasn't felt too bad. These cars are definitely a lot harder to drive than the next gens, but just saving tires here, that was a bold strategy. I think it might end up biting me if we go too long, but we'll see.
And many drivers coming down pit road. We saw your pit stop appeared to be the shortest there, so what in specific did you do different compared to your competitors?
I just took fuel. So, the best case scenario for me right now, I think, is, we go 10, 15 laps, I survive and don't drop back too far, and then catch up with the tires, but it'll be a tough.
And we've seen already with only one yellow in almost 250 miles, we got about the lap 63. We have found ourselves in a long game for strategy, and tires will be a necessity. Can you fill us in more about the tire situation, about the limits and such, because it seems like they're already a resource that might run out?
Yeah, still trying to learn what the pattern with with the tires will be. You really need to baby it at the beginning of the run. There's no point in blasting away from everybody. They're just going to catch up to you. So, this strategy will hopefully save a set for me. But it depends on how it plays out. So, like I said, still learning, and hopefully whatever we just did there pays off in the end.
And with the next gens out of the picture for tonight, it might be a preview for what's next in the Highline Premier Series. So with that being said, how's it been coming back to these cars, and you think we should go from here on out, maybe seeing them a bit more often?
It's definitely sorry, I'm muting the guys in the in the lobby. It's definitely a fun change. You know, the next gen cars are a little more glued to the ground. These ones take a lot more driver input to get around the track. So I think that's the trend we're going in for next season. You know, won't worry about it too much until we get out of this championship battle. But if it happens, it happens, and you know, we're ready for the change.
Absolutely getting ready to it. Of course, the first time we've seen the Gen 4s all year long. Scott Wheeler, any final thoughts?
I just hope this plays out, and I hope I don't drop back too far.
And there we have it, playing it a bit risky. It's Scott Wheeler on a 97 machine, and we are going to thank him for his time and drag him right back in as the 97 gets right back to work. The 97 in the Premier Series anyway. Tonight he represents Jeff Burton in the number 99, as right down low it's going to be Tyler Rush in the 24, and Rush, the only driver to stay out on his set and not come into pit road. This might be a bit of a hectic run after, of course, a long time under green. We'll see whether or not it works out for the 24, or if these guys will pack him up just like that. Scott Wheeler, he wants a short run. I'm pretty sure Tyler Rush wants the shortest run of them all. But it all comes to a head once again here in Charlotte. The second restart of the night, and it will all come down to the number 24 down low and the 99 up high. Who gets the good runoff and who will be able to make out like a bandit and take the lead once again? Let's find out. 64 laps in, the green flag will fly once more, led this time by Tyler Rush. And the yellow flag appears to be out once again. Big time hit for the 10 of Ken Luker and James McKee as well. Instant replay as a caution bred a caution. And it looks like the start did not go all too well. Let's take a look right back as the number 48 of James McKee gets caught up in the act. They all get bunched up and clustered off of turn number 4 to the start finish line, the restart zone. And Ken Luker with James McKee. The 9 bobbles and then both of them get to each other. The 10, the 48 had contact with the number 9, and that's all she wrote from there on out. Big time contact, and as I look up in front, a good majority of these guys able to get away with it, and you can see very little damage for anyone else besides the number 10 and the number 48. James McKee, as a matter of fact, gets the worst of it, 66 laps in, and that's going to be crucial damage to keep an eye out on. It looks like the 48's front end is all pounded in. Wow, my Robert Kenny, now going to be in 22nd as the number 9 fades back just a bit as it was involved in that incident. And Justin Gibbs checking up leads the caution number 2. It caught my breath, that's for certain. And we're going to catch right back up to the live feed, live on FTN. Tyler Rush, as a matter of fact, got a great start and will be able to lead it once more. We're going to go back green. This time Bind appears. They're already double file. It's going to be a short restart and we'll be good to go. Once again, Rush is now leading Bronson Stafford, and Stafford's had a phenomenal debut in the Highline Racing League, and we might see more to come from this number 17. The way things have gone, he's certain to be a contender if this league keeps up with those Gen 4s. Now, we mentioned it for the first time tonight. We are intending to see the Gen 4s go to the Premier Series next season. This season, 15 might be the last with the next gens or any modern stock car. We'll send it back to the 2000s. If, of course, the league chooses to go in that direction, it would be a welcome surprise with one test race, a big one, coming here tonight. And it is all about the Mid-May Classic. This week's an iconic one for racing. Of course, the Coca-Cola 600 seen at Charlotte. You got racing at Indianapolis and Monaco as well. All around a great Sunday coming up. But tonight, a precursor to all those events. At 67 in, the 24 leads the way. Now, one thing we haven't seen that is more accurate to racing in NASCAR before the last 15-odd years, we haven't seen the single file restart yet. I'm not quite sure if that will come into effect if the yellow flags become more persistent. If that is the case, it might switch up the strategy even more so. That remains to be seen. Once again, another thing to throw in the air as 67 make it 68 through. We'll return at lap number 69 as the 24 makes it down and in once again. This should be the one to go mark in our caution, and we'll get back to green just after that. 67 laps in, and back-to-back yellow flags after our first long run, and the number 24 now has the signal for at least 2 more laps of pacing. Looking further back as we go, guys like Robert Kenny down on pit road, so is Dylan Petit, and now James McKee is. Looks like they're now waiting to get that number 48 back up in front. And the 27 of Tyler Rush still leads the way. The 27 actually is how he registered. He's the 24 on your screen as he continues to lead the field on a leading pace. The number 24 is running with a 19-lap-old tire stint. That is the oldest in the entirety of this field. No other driver on pace is running with anything older than a 6-lap set. The number 24 outdoes that 3 times over. He has something going on. It's worked so far with a back-to-back short run mindset, and he could get his third wish. Third time could be a charm for the number 24 machine as they come down through 3 and 4. This time by it should truly be lap number 70. We go back green as we do not appear to be doing so this time around. America's home for racing has seen some great stuff so far. We're only just getting started as they come off of turn number 4. This time by, it's going to be the 24 Tyler Rush. Only double file with 1 driver so far, but they'll all get into formation once again and ready to go back at it. We will be now, but lap number 70. Lap number 69, however, comes up this time around, and it has been a nice race so far for the number 24 of Tyler Rush. As Gambit comes to chat, a big Gibbs fan, and right now Justin Gibbs holds on strong with the Mopar number 9, a Casey Kane throwback, and we have 2 Evernham paint schemes in tonight's event. The number 9 is the flag bearer so far. He got involved in the most recent incident, but he'll come out unscathed as the number 48 and the number 10 alike are still racing, and they're both on the lead lap. So all is well that ends well. At the very least, they're all still racing here. Only one retiree. It appears to be Dylan Body in the 23rd spot. The rest of the field still going strong, and a sea of beautiful stock cars has come down the back one more time before the green flag racing gets back in session. Lap number 70 will give us our second restart of the night immediately after our first. And there we have it, coming down to the inside line. It's the 24 of Tyler Rush once again, the oldest paint scheme. Well, it does not go to Tyler Rush, but the oldest tire set, that's for certain, held by the 24. Will it work out for him, or will he fall to the wayside this time by? Would he be involved in the next incident? All these questions and more are due to be answered as the second restart comes into effect this time by. Here we go again. The number 24 going to be able to lead the way this time by restart number 2 after lap 69. Let's get going once again at lap number 70. And side by side, it's going to be now the Bronson Stafford machine up in front. No restart incident immediately. And now it's going to be the 17 pulling away to the major gap. Scott Zeller going to have to make the move on the number 24 and make that move quick as Garrett Sidnor rips on the high side here. And it looks like shades to a modern comparison in Tyler Reddick or Kyle Larson, as the high line has been best for him here in the Highline Racing League. Your championship winner in the Texaco Truck Series last night, Tuesday night. And now on the Wednesday circuit, finding himself in third, getting right by Tyler Rush, as Rush is going to block multiple drivers, and Scott Wheeler not going to take any of it. Goes down low, does not make it happen. Rush blocks once again. And say what you will, these old tires have not been falling off as bad as I'd expect. That number 24, while definitely on a bit of a pace deficit, has been able to manage it quite well. And now, due to be filed out by multiple drivers at once. The 99 goes right down low. It's going to be Kevin Harvick, 29, and Brad Kress right there with them. And there might be a spot to fill if the 6 of Chad Winstead does not get there, but it's going to be a side-by-side battle off corner exit once again. And the 24 continues to go at it right there with the number 29. Up in front, though, it's a battle for the lead. It looks like Scott Zellner gets right by everyone except for Bronson. And the Garrett Sidnor machine finds himself holding his head up high. He's there in third, and 73 laps in out of 200. Garrett Sidnor has been getting a miraculous run back up through the field. He had a great start to this race, fell off just a bit in the beginning of the long run, and now with a few restarts in the equation, he found himself once again as a top contender, just a second away from the race lead in his own right, as Bronson continues to try to pull away on the rest of this field. The number 17 has shown up and shown off, and so far finds himself leading the field to yet another lap. The closest drive in the field right now going to be right between these two drivers in the number 29 and the 99. Yellow flag's out for the third time back in the field, and it looks like a stage yellow. And not quite sure why this is the case. Nobody appears to have gone around. The entirety of the field is going. And now we're in a bit of a confused state here. 74 laps in, and we get a phantom yellow flag. And we'll take it back. The only driver appeared to be a bit off pace before was Mike Tellier, but he stayed on the throttle. And he got on the wall and was riding that wall. And that's what brings out the yellow there. Got involved with the number 9 of Justin Gibbs. And that's what brings out your yellow flag. Your flag at a fall, and he just gets in the wall, then gets piled into by the 9, and nothing more that could be done. That's not a phantom yellow, that's a big hit. And now the 84 has some damage on the right side. Nothing more that he could do in that moment, and there was no space for Justin Gibbs to move. Both of these drivers find themselves in an unlucky scenario. And 75 laps in, the Coca-Cola 300 has been led by, for the most part, one man in particular, Scott Zellner. But now it looks like Bronson Stafford finds himself in a winning position. 75 laps in, almost halfway through. It's been all about your men up in front, and now a good majority of them come down pit road at the same time. This is going to split up strategy just a bit. Alan Kunman stays out. So does Kenny Brooks, Ryan Potter, and Terry Brooks. And it looks like the 83 of Matthew Rodriguez, he does as well. But it's now going to be yet another race off pit road. Here's the 24 going to be able to come in. Who comes out first? We'll see who's the winner off as Scott Zellner makes his way through. A bit of a slow entry there. However, he's good to keep on moving as they come into pit road. It looks like Zellner still wins off pit road compared to Garrett Sidnor. And then the 78 of Casey Heschel gets on the way side by side off corner exit. It looks like it's going to be a big move for the 19. Now the 19 machine makes its way. Robert Kenny in front of Patrick Green. And Leclerc now scored in 16th. Your third yellow flag and light comes out after 60 green flag laps. We've had 3 yellow flags in 15 of the most recent laps. So how we get a word with the man in perhaps a different machine, and it could be the 17. However, it looks like at the moment unavailable for comment. So who is looking to get this one done? Well, let's look through the running with the number 34 machine of Chad Winstead running very well, and we'll try to get a word with the man in that number 6. Winstead for Viagra and Pfizer finds himself in position number 3, and rounding out that podium right now, he's racing this one as hard as he can and finds himself in the voice chat for the first time in quite some time. The independent driver has been putting together yet another solid race. As it stands, Chad Winstead, you find yourself inside the podium with 76 laps in out of 200. How's it been up in front?
I mean, it's been fun. These things are a handful to drive, and I was hoping we would go green there. That long run, I was catching the lead pack there, so I feel pretty good if we can get some green flag laps here. A lot of the guys behind me just came down, a couple in front of me, so I'm sure they're playing the fuel mileage game, but I'm hoping for a green flag run here. We'll see what happens.
And it looks like after that first green flag run, some guys able to gain and some guys did lose, but you've been able to make a few adjustments to how you drive this machine. Now you find yourself up in front. What's been the big tool to your success after a bit of a start you didn't want there? Now you find yourself gaining.
Yeah, definitely screwed up in qualifying. I felt like I probably could have been top 3 there based off of practice, but yeah, just taking it real easy on these starts and not burning it up early in the run when the tires are still cold. So I was real conservative on the starts on these 2 runs, and then just putting the hammer down once the car kind of comes under you. But still, I say put the hammer down, but you know it's still a tire saving thing. Just trying not to let the car get loose, because this car is very, very loose at this track.
And as they've been slipping and sliding around, you've slid your way up in front. Now, tires seem to be at a limit here. Some guys just took them. Some guys, like yourself, staying out. What's it going to be? Is it more important to have them late, or is it more important to get the edge early for you?
Yeah, it's a tough call right now at this point in the race. I think if I would have came down pit road right there, I almost think I would have taken a set and having 2 for the next long green flag run. I feel like once we get a couple of these cautions out of the way, we're going to get a good run here, and then probably a late caution or something. So I think you're probably good if you took a set right there. I don't think we're going to use all 5, or if we do, it's going to be because of a late caution.
But there we have it, 5 sets to keep an eye out for. And right now, Chad Winstead has not appeared to need all of them. It's still up there in the podium. Chad, any final thoughts?
No, just thank you for putting this on, and everybody out there, I hope we put on a good rest of the show for you, and hopefully we can bring it home in one piece in first place.
And there we have it. That's Chad Winstead in the number 6 Viagra machine. Tonight we drag him right back into the voice shed as every driver gets focused to do it once again. The number 6, 78 laps in, finds himself in third, with Bronson Stafford leading over now Brad Kress in the number 29. Let's get right back to the green flag action. A bit of a short run that time by. After 60 green flag laps, it's become a bit of a stop and go show. But now it's time to get back on the loud pedal and get back moving out of turn number 4. They'll be going through for restart number 3, and it's going to be led once again by Bronson, but now the 29 is by his side. Tyler Rush fades further back and now finds himself in position number 20, taking a tire set very recently. It looks like the strategy he had did not play out to his favor. 78 becomes 79 laps in this time by, and the green flag falls once again for restart number 3. Let's go racing once more. And just like that, Bronson gets another great jump off the exit. Going to be a bit of door banging there between Chad Winstead, and there's a multi-car pack forming as the sun begins to set. This is the classic racing we've been waiting for. Chance Duckworth goes up high in the 9th spot. A Dale Jarrett throwback there, and we have not mentioned it so far. As we get a long run, we'll try to go back to our throwback stories here. As side by side, Kenny Brooks dices it up. Now Brooks right in front of James McKee. What is McKee going to be doing about this one? The 54 finds himself there in 8th, goes down low once again, and puts the defense on multiple drivers at once. Now it's going to be James Dyke down low. He has a bit of a run, and he has a bit of room. Slicing, dicing, side by side. It's a 2x2 running right down low. The 48 gets it, does not clear though, and the 54 will have a shot to go right back at it once again. 80 laps in, and side by side right behind, going to be Scott Zeller there with Chance Duckworth. As they slice through, it is far from over between each and every one of these drivers. Side by side, position number 10 is Sidnor, now going to be right there with the number 9 machine in tow. It's going to be the number 9 spot that Kenny Brooks fades out of. He's in the wall big, and the drivers will have to avoid him. Sparks are flying for the National Guard machine, and fading fast. He's got the number 19 of Robert Kenny right there with him. Patrick Green in 20 falls out of frame for just a moment. He washes up high as well, but nobody has a bit more trouble than the number 54 of Kenny Brooks. And 82 laps in, it's going to be the 54 fading to 15th as the leading battle is getting closer. And it looks like the 83 for Red Bull Racing now finds itself up in front for the first time all night long. It's the 82nd lap, and lap number 83 will see the 83 in the second position. Mike Tellier, the other Red Bull teammate, got caught in an incident early on, but Matthew Rodriguez will not be denied. The skill set of the Gen 4 has played into his favor so far, and he finds himself with a good shot to get it done if he just keeps on pushing. He's pushed pretty well so far, might have the opportunity to take it all the way. He's gaining on Bronson, but now finds himself losing that time by. It looks like a 1/10 of a second loss. He was up down to about a 3/10 of a second gap, and while Rodriguez has put some time in and cut through, the number 17 leads the way nonetheless out of the final corner. One more time, Bronson leads at the lap number 84. Matthew Rodriguez all not too far behind. Brad Kress going to be there in third. Chad Winstead is in fourth. And right behind him, it's going to be Terry Brooks in position number 5. The guys on the older set tire have been able to stay out in front. And while we did not expect that in the entirety, it looks like it's worked out in the short term. It might go long. Garrett Sidnor right now in 8th is the fastest man on the newest set of tire. Got an 8-lap stint, and he's in position number 8. Every driver in front of him has at the minimum a 22-lap stint. Yellow flags out for the 4th time, and this time it's a big one in the back of the field. The 84 caught up again. Patrick Green and Kenny Brooks. So we will go under yellow for the 4th time of the evening. Let's take a look at what just happened. Yellow flag comes out for the 4th time here on FTN, and taking a quick look back, the 84 machine running down the backstretch, not involved with the bunch at the moment. Patrick Green right there with Tyler Rush, and Green gets a bit squirrely. He's going to be able to lose it off of corner number 4, and it's a big hit for Kenny Brooks, and it began up in front with guys like Scott Wheeler, so this one begins way up in front here in the battle for about 13th. Let's take an instant replay and take another view of this incident. The 19 actually loses it first, so then the 19 involved with the 54, and it's going to be up and over for the 54 machine indeed. It's going to be Mike Tellier tagged up. Kenny Brooks right there. Justin Gibbs barely gets away, but the 19 machine gets himself big time caught up. That's Robert Kenny, and 86 laps in a multi-car incident brings out the yellow flag for the 4th time this evening. Right down low, Scott Wheeler takes to the pit road, and Bronson Stafford leads the way. And 86 laps in from our first 60 without a caution. It's become a bit of a caution fest here, pacing more than we've gone racing ever since that lap number 60 marker, limping our way to the halfway point 86 laps in, and it is still Bronson who leads the way. And down low, Bronson Stafford keeps it with the 83, and Matthew Rodriguez not too far behind. Brad Kress going to be in 3rd with Chad Winstead in 4th and Terry Brooks in 5th. Now, your top 5 guys all back in formation, and this will give Matthew Rodriguez another opportunity to go back for it once again. He was very close, or closer than anyone else was to Bronson that run by, but it got shut down early. It seems like Bronson was able to kick it into another gear once again, and he found something that kept him in a position to keep the lead. So with that being said, the number 83 holds on in 2nd, but the 17 simply has no competition so far. It has been hard to hold on with a man in that number. 17 simply the best of the best so far in that Ford Fusion. It's going to be Brad Kress right now in 3rd, Chad Winstead going to be in 4th, then Terry Brooks in 5th, looking back to Ryan Potter in position number 6, and then Alan Cummins in 7th with Garrett Sidnor 8th and James McKee in 9th. Rounding in your top 10 is the number 10 machine of Kendall Kerr. And now with 87 laps in the books, coming closer and closer to your halfway point, Bronson Stafford has dominated the first 250 miles ever since the cautions began to fly. Closer and closer to the checkered flag, the sun is indeed setting. He might just have the car to go all the way, especially given the time. It's getting darker and darker both in the real world and on the track, and as the nighttime sky comes out, it's going to become closer and closer to the conditions you'll see when the race ends. So right now, Bronson seems to have the advantage as the track temperature is cooled down and all the climatic conditions change and become much more like the night and much less like the day. Nobody else has yet to figure it all out just yet, and that's not saying they can't. It simply has yet to happen. And if we look back a bit further right now, we said before there's only one retiree. Looking back, Robert Kenny now 1 lap down. Tyler Rush, he's back on the circuit. He's the lead lap. Scott Wheeler is as well. But Kenny finds himself on pit road. This could be big time damage. As you saw, he got involved in that hit for the most part on his own accord. And then many of the drivers came right in. It was a hard knock for the man in that number 19, and simply something that could not be avoided from that point onwards. To the 19 of Robert Kenny, 1 lap down as the leaders come by once again. It's 2 laps to green, and it will be 1 next time by to go back green at lap number 90. It seems like a caution concludes every 10 laps at this point now. See whether or not we can get this one going this time by. It is a possibility, of course. See whether or not this works out, as we have now seen a bit of a race of attrition Many drivers are down, but they are not out. We'll see how long they can keep up on pace for the rest of this way. Many damaged machines, but they're still not up in front. You know who is, though? Bronson Stafford and that number 17. 2 laps to go, and the 17 will go down low. Now make it 1 lap left in pacing. 89 laps through in total, and the 83 stays up high, and it looks like it is official. We will have a single file restart to curb the incidents, and it looks like further back that is indeed the case. Bar Kenny Brooks here and Terry Brooks right there, both of which staying down low, and we got guys down low as well in the back. However, the high side appears to be the norm, so it should be at that pace a single file restart to curb your incidents. We will keep it single file the rest of the way, more similar to the way it was earlier in NASCAR's history. Double file restarts have become a thing of the future and a thing of the present. Way back when, though, they were all single file, and it's all become a bit different. But tonight we take it back to the roots as the 17 machine leads the way. 89 laps in, almost halfway through here in the Coca-Cola 300 presented by the Highline Racing League. And Bronson Stafford, a new man in this league, has found himself home up in front. Stafford leads the way. Matthew Rodriguez second, and then Brad Kress in third, all over again. And as the field gets stacked up one more time, let's get right back at it. It's going to be restart number 4 this time through at lap number 90. Let's get back racing, and hopefully this time by, we go long and go strong. The green flag flies out once again. It's going to be Brennan and then Bronson leading the way here in Charlotte once more. And each and every time we get a restart, it seems like it's all the same. The 17 gets a masterful jump, gets the lead by about a half second, and then goes from there. We'll see how much he can build, though, as now it's single file throughout the entirety of the field. Maybe the memo has been given out to these drivers. They've got to keep it a bit safer. Saw some incidents early on. We don't want to see them again. And 91 laps in, it looks like Alan Kuhlman goes down low with that number 16 of Garrett Sidnor, trying to buy some time and get himself in the single digits even further. The 8 machine finds itself in 8th right now, and 91 laps in, working through the field. Alan Kuhlman, a very methodical driver, and it seems like it's paid off so far. The method to the madness, it has paid off in dividends. He finds himself in 8th, but he still could continue to gain as the night goes on. And right behind him, it's going to be James McKee, his Blacktop Racing teammate in that number 48. We've seen these two contend for wins many times over, and right now they're getting closer and closer. Bronson Stafford having a bit of an internet issue that time by. He was almost down and out of the leaderboard, and your number 17 appears to be blinking from the top position. Not good news if the 17 wants to keep on racing here. He is not anymore, but our timing and scoring indicated that he was off of the frame. He is still going right now, so nothing to worry about for him. He'll just have to keep on going, and we'll hope that internet issue does not persist. However, Matthew Rodriguez, regardless of internet, has been able to gain in by at least a 1/10 of a second, and side by side right now we'll have to go back to the guys in the 4th spot and the 3rd. It's going to be a battle between the number 6 and the number 29 for the final spot on the podium. Number 6 goes right down low, and it's going to be now as Chad Winstead in 3rd with Ryan Potter in 4th. The 43 machine works its way right down low, and it's the Ryan Potter machine in position number 4. Brad Kress going to be up high, and now it looks like it works off the backstretch momentum, going to put him right back in the game, and the 29 machine able to take that spot right back. Now Brad Kress fighting with the 43 of Ryan Potter, and look who's in the equation as well, Garrett Sidnor, and it's going to be a big slide for Terry Brooks. A great save as well, and my oh my, Terry Brooks, nothing but masterful car control. What a way to keep it intact, and not bad at all for the man in that number 24. 23. A 23 driver by regular, but in the Gen 4s he comes alive in that Stacker 2 paint scheme, and he's working his way off the backstretch using each and every piece of power and equipment that Dodge has, and he keeps it on the down low right now when it comes to his line and it comes to his racing, as Alan Cummey going to be able to let James McKee right by. Now Scott Zellner goes down low, and Zellner, your pole sitter, has fallen back into 10th. Not a bad run by any means, but it looks like it simply has not worked out since the beginning of the race, fading further and further back, while drivers like Bronson Stafford able to make their way up. The number 12 now trying to charge back through. He's on a 20-lap old stint, and the only other driver on a similar stint that is up in front of the field is Garrett Sidnor. Sidnor finds himself in the 5th spot, working down the stretch. It's going to be the front stretch this time by, as Garrett tries to get right in touch with the man in that number 43. Does not work out. He'll just have to keep on digging as he goes up high and gets right back up to his work. And it looks like the single file racing will lead to a bit of a longer green flag run the way things are going. So with that being said, let's go right back to your overall history of each and every paint scheme. We missed quite a few, and how we start with a man in that number 8, Alan Cummey, and the Dale Earnhardt Jr. paint scheme, a NASCAR Hall of Fame member and one of the members of the iRacing board, Dale Earnhardt Jr. once was a Budweiser driver for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. The younger fans might not know this, but Hendrick Motorsports was not the first team that Dale Jr. drove for. He was a DEI driver, first and foremost, won 2 Busch Series championships with them in 98 and 1999, and got the call up to the Cup Series in 2000 as a full-time driver in this beautiful number 8. The paint scheme is iconic as a sponsor-driver relationship is. They went on to win the All-Star race in 2000, the Daytona 504, and many championship contending seasons along the way, notably one in 2004, where it all came apart at the end of the very first chase for the Nextel Cup. With all being said and done, Dale Jr. still had a phenomenal career, and Budweiser in 2017 made a video to thank him for all that he did for the brand in his time and his tenure as a driver. So his work absolutely precedes him. Dale Jr. and Budweiser, an iconic sponsorship relationship, and what you might notice, it's painted all the way around, the red on that front end. No matter where you're looking, some guys have it left default, some guys have it a little bit of a different color. It's all red, and it's all good for that number 8 to see red as he works his way off lap number 100, and the number 22 of Dylan Petit finds himself now in 13th. And as we saw Jeff Burton up in front, how about we go back to a guy like Ward Burton, the multi-time Daytona 500 winner, often, you might say, overshadowed by Jeff, but still a great driver in his zone. The 22 of Ward Burton, he worked with Bill Davis in the Bill Davis Racing Camp. He had a great career, made several seasons work out of this 22, and the Caterpillar paint scheme, as iconic as ever. Later in its going, it was not a Dodge, but when it was driven, it became a bit of a revolving door for drivers who were veterans. That number 22 was able to stick on after Ward left, but Bill Davis Racing eventually shut its doors, and the 22 in that form was no more. The yellow and red number 22 now ran by Joey Logano for a totally different set of sponsors and a different team, but still, the number 22 lives on in the hearts of many fans of the early 2000s and the 90s as well. One man who was, of course, very well known in the 1990s as a driver was the 1999 Winston Cup champion, Bobby Labonte, won it in 2000, but it was Dale Jarrett who got it done in 1999. But at that point, he was driving not for UPS, but for Robert Yates Racing. Of course, Yates was still the man who operated the number 88 when UPS came on board for the twilight of his career. The final victory the 88 recorded as a driver was in 2005 at Talladega, and while it was not this exact paint scheme, 88 and the UPS branding was as memorable as ever. This was Dale Jarrett's penultimate season, I believe, in full-time competition, and he came home with a final walk-off win, and it was all that he needed to, of course, put the cherry on top, a Hall of Fame career, and a phenomenal time as a champion. Dale Jarrett listed as NASCAR, one of NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers overall. A champion of the Cup Series is nothing to sneeze at, as right beside him, a throwback to yet another. There's going to be a wreck. It's going to be 2 cars on the wall. They keep it going, and they're both inside the wall together. 97 laps to go. The 9 machine of Justin Gibbs gets inside, and an instant replay of the matter would go to show you those two came in contact, and it was like a flash. 97 remaining, and the 88 comes up high. try, gets into the 9, and Justin Gibbs involved in another one. Chance Duckworth fades back, and so does that number 9. And now, Justin Gibbs scored in position number 19. And while we did not begin the force mention of that number 9 machine, Justin Gibbs running the Casey Kane paint scheme, Ray Everham seen twice over in this event. The 9 and the 19 and a blue paint scheme shown compared to the usual Everham red. The Mopar machine seen in Casey Kane's formative years. His rookie campaign was incredible. 4 times a runner-up in multiple photo finishes, namely at Texas. I believe that was to Elliott Sadler, and Rockingham to Matt Kenseth. Casey Kane, he was a prodigy of the NASCAR scene and a dirt racer as well. He came up through Everham, then went to Petty, then went to what was Ganassi, I believe, when it was all about the conglomeration of many teams. It was all a big mess way back when, and he eventually found his way to Rick Hendrick after a brief stint with Red Bull to finish out his career with the 2017 Brickyard 400 victory. But at this time, he was still one of the fastest drivers on the scene. A lot of raw, untapped talent. And that number 9 for Justin Gibbs right now in a bit more of a troublesome situation than he'd want to be in. The 9 representing Casey Kane finds itself in position number 19. Let's look a further bit up. It's going to be the 87 of Patrick Green in our timing and scoring, but tonight he represents himself as the number 20, a multi-time champion, a 3-time champion no less, and that is the number 20 of Tony Stewart, a champion in 2002 and 2011 for his own operation, but this is a throwback in specific to his time as a champion winner in 2005. The second ever chase, and Smoke came home with a victory against a stacked field of Roush machines, Hendrick machines, you name it, he had to compete with it. And Tony Stewart, one of all time NASCAR's best. He was one of those competitors you could see a race in, a race out, fighting for it. Not only is he a NASCAR champion, but he is an IndyCar champion in 1996, the second season of what is now known as the IndyCar Series. Of course, the open wheel split, and he came out on the good end of the stick there. He's remembered by the IndyCar scene, of course, as one of its champions. Well known, best known for his time in stock car racing, but one of motorsport's most versatile drivers. You put Tony Stewart in anything with a 4-wheel composite chassis, not a composite chassis, does not matter. 4 wheels, an engine, and he would race the hell out of it, and he would be up there for the win. Speaking of up there for the win, Bronson Stafford still does lead, as we still have a few more drivers to take a look at. And looking further back, the second man in the Red Bull operation, Mike Tellier, is still going in that number 84, and the Toyota Camry completes the 2-car set of Red Bull machines out on the track. Now, Red Bull Racing, as we mentioned, did not work out in NASCAR. However, they were able to expand to a multi-car operation very early in their going. And while it did not work out all the way, they still made their big mark, at least for some time. And the 84 machine was driven by AJ Allmendinger in the hybrid year, when the car tomorrow and the Gen 4s both drove in the same season. A very different time for NASCAR. Imagine if the Gen 6 and the Gen 7, the next gen, had races next to each other on the schedule. Simply would not happen, but in 2007 it did. And AJ Allmendinger, the elder statesman of the NASCAR Cup Series today, finds himself in that 84. He still continues to contend for victories on road courses, but at one point there was a chance where he would become a full-time phenom in the way of racing in stock cars. He was, of course, an IndyCar phenom, or rather a Champ Car phenom, runner-up in the championship multiple times, the future F1 driver Sebastien Bourdais. But then he came over to the stock cars, and while it did not work out originally, AJ's career revival has been a work of art. Currently driving for Colleague Racing in the number 16 in the Cup Series, a multi-time winner, regular season champion in Xfinity, and Red Bull Racing looking to have a turnaround in that number 84 for Mike Tellier, the same way AJ Allmendinger turned around his career. It has not come to him so far, but with 88 laps remaining, there's still a lot of time to make it all happen and turn the page on what has been a great run so far, besides a few incidents getting caught up in the act. Tyler Rush is now the last man to keep an eye out for when it comes to his paint scheme, and the 24 DuPont, he needs no introduction, but this paint scheme just might. You might know Jeff Gordon in the Monterey as the Exalted driver in his classic era as the DuPont man, be it the Flames or the Rainbow Warrior paint scheme. But of course, once upon a time, PepsiCo was big time involved in NASCAR, and notably Hendrick Motorsports. The 24 Pepsi machine saw its way around tracks like Talladega and Daytona for dominating victories, and even sometimes in the early 2000s, he would be booed relentlessly. There's an iconic photo of Jeff Gordon, I believe in 2003 or 2004, with a beer cans being sprayed all over the track as that winning number 24 made his way around for a cool down lap. Jeff Gordon was simply too good way back when, and nobody could keep up with him. And while that is not the case right now for the 27 on our end, the timing scoring of Tyler Rush, the number 24 for you all will continue to push on as he finds himself in 20th. The last man still racing, as it appears that Scott Wheeler, who came into the chat alongside Robert, Kenny, and Dylan Body, have yet to make it back on the circuit. Kenny looks done for tonight. Scott and Dylan Body are still on pit road, but it remains unlikely to see them back racing once again. It's going to be one man down and in. This time through, it's going to be Ryan Powder in the 43 and Dylan Petit in as well. And this is a big reminder. We are seeing pit strategy one more time. And 85 laps remaining, and just like that, 160 laps through. 116, indeed. It is time to see guys come down and in. And this time by Bronson Stafford makes it in without a hitch. He's down and he is through. And your second green flag cycle is now underway. The 83 Matthew Rodriguez finds himself in first. And now it's going to be Chad Winstead right behind him on his tail, competing to get up in front for track position on pit road, vying to get in the second overall nonetheless. And pit road, always a complicated thing in sim racing. We mentioned it in our most recent 300-mile event. Pit road, unlike how it is in the real world, is not operated or manned by any teams in iRacing unless you have your own team, and I don't think these guys do. It's very unlikely to see that on day-to-day races. These guys have to operate what they get on their pit road. They have to make sure they're at the right speed, no spotter in the ear for the most part, and even then, at the end of the day, you still could get popped for a violation or get caught up in a glitch, and damage is decided not by you or your mechanics, but by iRacing as well. They can hold you for however long they want to, and they'll give you that false hope that you can keep on racing. Terry Brooks down and in that time by, and the number 23 machine makes it through as Scott Zellner now comes out of pit road in number 12, and Brad Crest comes in to follow him immediately thereafter. Now 82 laps to go, and many drivers are in, and many drivers are already out. Now Bronson Stratford going to be able to make his way through and cycle in front of most of these guys on pit road. Once again, the 17 is the overall leader. Got by the 25 of Joshua Salcy once again. Matthew Rodriguez scores the leader overall, and he's coming down to pit road this time by, so that will not be for long. The number 83 is in, and that will be all she wrote on this run, at least for now. Matthew's in. Now it's going to be Kendall Kerr, the overall leader, as Joshua Salcy's in second, and times are a-changing here in Charlotte. And after a blip of long green flag running, we got to a bit of a stint of short runs, and we're back up in front once again, pushing to the limit. Pedal to the metal, up in front. The drivers continue to power, and that number 10 now going to come down to pit road, and Southsea going to be the overall leader because of that, as the Brandon Stafford machine makes its way unlapped. So the 17 back on that lead lap with the new set of tire. He's only about 29 seconds off, and he gets by Matthew Rodriguez. Rodriguez now down on pit road, and Stafford working his way through to cycle out up in front. Another event ringer here in the Highline Racing League, and they have taken this race by storm. Simply nobody else on the caliber of this number 17, and as the sun has gone down in Charlotte, there's simply nothing more that can be said or done. The 17 having a phenomenal performance so far as Kendall Kerr makes it down to pit road with 80 laps remaining. This could be the penultimate pit stop for each and every driver. Look at that. The 10 is down and in. Joshua Salcy leads, and the debutants have had some great runs so far. The 25 UAW Delphi machine finds itself in the lead, and while he will be cycled out of it, it looks like this machine slowly but surely push on time and time again, despite the fact he'll have to get off a pit road. He'll cycle out inside, I believe, the top 15, as now it's going to be the number 6 of Chad Winstead chasing him down. Up high, Winstead goes, almost brushes the wall that time through. A lot of room, though, simply was not able to make it happen. And off of corner number 1, it's going to be the number 25 down low. Winstead simply has too much momentum and holds his head right up high. Casey Heschel now in the mix as well. It's a big pack coming down the backstretch, and it's all led by the 78 and the 12. James McKee right there as well. These are all lap machines now fighting for spots. Matthew Rodriguez a lapper, so is McKee. Now it's going to be a big move for Rodriguez. He has to go up high, avoiding a lead lapper, and that's something we don't see all too often. He's in the wall nonetheless, like his teammate, Mike Tellier. The 83 of Rodriguez finds himself in the wall from the front of the field, and Amrod drops down all the way to 15th. Not good, and now they're getting real dicey. Leaders and lappers alike. The 16 of Garrett Sindor pushes on through, gets by Casey Heschel, gives Terry Brooks a bit of affirmation, and they are back on their way. Once again, Brad Crest going to go right down low there, and it's going to be the number 25. They will work by 77 laps remaining now, and time is of the essence. Right down low, it's going to be the number 29 machine now in 12th. Dylan Petit is in 11th, and your leading man now holds on by 0.8 of a second. He still has to come down to pit road sometime soon. Joshua Stousey's been on this pit run for a total of 38 laps, and with 76 remaining, simply not much more time until he's forced to come down to pit road and take it in perhaps one more time, trying to stretch this one to be a one-stopper from here on out. I don't believe that's going to work out, but the 25 due to come in within the next 15 laps at the very most, and the 25 makes it through one more time, making lap number 126, 75 laps remaining, and over 250 miles in. Bronson Stafford now scored in position number 6. And with that being said, 75 to go. How about we take a lap on board your man up in front in that number 25. Joshua South, your leading man, coming off of corner number 4. This time around, let's see what it's like to be your leading man here in the Coca-Cola 300 and take a lap on board uninterrupted with Joshua Southey. And even though he has dropped like a rock, letting all these drivers by, he has yet to drop a position. Simply so many machines getting their lap right back, and this number 25 has to let it happen. Not much more he can do when he's that much slower. Almost like a speeding roadblock here. He's hitting speeds of about 160, but these guys can get up to 185 and more than that as they come through the entirety of the track. We saw one man reaching a speed of about 189 off a corner exit, and it was all James McKee right there. The mid-pack is still brewing big, and even though we saw some guys dice it up, it seems like that number 48 is far from done. And now down low, Dylan Petit takes it on Ryan Potter. It's the 22 and the 43 going right down low. The 22 does. Now Ryan Potter out of order. And Casey Heschel in the number 78 back on the track had some big trouble with his internet. He almost disappeared from our timing and scoring screen once again. Still there in position number 2. Thought he disconnected, but he's still good as the number 43 gets washed up the track once again. That's the 16 still moving, and now that number 16 makes his way down and around. It looks like Garrett Sidnor had an opportunity, could not take it. He's now right down low once again on that number 99, and it looks like there's not much more that Ryan Potter can do. So that will be all she wrote for Ryan Potter, at least for now. He got those tires way warmed up, and that's going to be the downfall, at least for the very moment. Time after time, drivers slip in and slip out, and Charlotte has been no stranger to such a strategy. Right down low, the number 48 machine kept it, and he's now leading this battle by over 3/10 of a second. An advantage on the closest battle on the track is no stranger for James McKee to have. He's a multi-time winner in the Premier Series, but here, with 70 laps to go, he is not the leader of the night. That honor would go to the number 25 machine of Joshua Southey. Southey, only now a total of 69 laps to go at the line, has had himself quite the nice race. With 69 laps remaining, it has been nothing short of nice as he finds himself leading now over Casey Heschel by 1.3 seconds. Kenny Brooks going to be in position number 3 with Patrick Green in 4th and Tyler Rush in 5th. Bronson Stafford is still in 6th here, but every driver in front of him has to make at least one more pit stop, not only because it's simply mandatory to, it is also just because the cars cannot make it. Don't want to become a track hazard and just end up stopped on the road, and Kenny Brooks takes the memo, goes down and in, and that will be another stop for the number 54. The penultimate stop there, big time damage for that number 54 on the left front. And while he is still kicking, it's very bad news if that's going to be some optional or required damage. iRacing might hold him back on the pit row and might stop him from contending. Joshua Sousey out in front. And now he finds himself the overall leader regardless of stint. Sousey now sees Casey Heschel goes through. The 78 actually is going to be able to save it. He almost got himself lost on that corner. And we'll take an instant replay to find out just what happened. An instant replay on Casey Heschel almost losing it into pit road, and he was sliding big for the furniture row number 78. A great save there, and nice work for KC once again. He is a race winner this season in the Premier Series, and he's putting that talent to good work as we go right back live with the action. We'll take it now live on FTN, and that number 78, as he comes through, sees that it's now 66 laps to go with a yellow flag. Once again, and off pit road, he goes through. It is going to be Joshua Sousey up in front, and this time by, it appears that another driver involved in an incident. The reason for this one appears to be involving Terry Brooks. The damage there appears to be brand new, so we'll take it back half a minute and find out just what happened. We got a bit caught up in our system. Yep, it's Terry Brooks. Let's take it a bit further back and find out what in specific just happened to the 23 Stacker 2 machine. Looks like he got stacked up on the outside wall, and this is just the beginning. Goes down low, and he is already out of control, coming into 3 and 4. Washes right up high, tries to put the power down, get all that stuff back in one corner. Doesn't work out, takes the 22 right there with him, Bill Davis teammates. And now the 23 goes down and in. It's going to be big damage for Dylan Petit. The Brooks machine gets all sorts of caught up, and now 66 remain as the yellow flag flies once again. Terry Brooks causes that yellow flag to fall and make it 65, with Joshua Sousey leading the way. He comes down pit road this time through, and everything gets reset with the 65 as your man out in front for a moment. Now it is a 12 of Scott Zellner, and how about the Scott Zellner machine who's leading the way? With that being said, he does not have any sign of coming down a pit road, so how do we get a word with the man who is up in front in your number 12? Scott Zellner, a Premier Series winner, and tonight looking to get it done in the special event, the Coca-Cola 300. Zellner leading the way so far with only about 65 laps to go. What's it going to take to go from here to get that checkered?
I don't know. It kind of shot ourselves in the foot coming down for fuel only before those string of cautions really put us behind the 8 ball. A lot of those guys behind me just pitted for tires and wanted to save a set, but I don't think there's a big enough buffer for me, so I don't know. We'll see how the rest of this race pans out, but I'm going to have one extra set of tires, and hopefully we get to use them.
And with one more set and a yellow back on the track we saw last time we had a yellow, of course, the cautions, red caution. So what's the ideal scenario for your success for the rest of the race?
Hopefully we can run 20 more laps, get another caution, and then get another caution with like 15, 20 to go. That'd be the ideal scenario, so we can utilize... we have 2 sets in the pits. We have one more set than the rest of the guys out here. So hopefully we get to use that extra set, but we'll see.
And when it comes to tire, not only is there, of course, a limit, but, of course, the degradation with the extra power in these Gen 4s, it is big. How's it been like to manage it for the first time this year with the Highline guys?
Honestly, I really like it. It's way better to have the right rear also wear. So the next-gen car we usually run just really plows the right front. It's a real balancing act of trying to get speed, but also saving your tires. And I think I've been doing a really good job of having speed on the back end, but that 17 car's been getting an early lead and really pulling away. So I'm gonna have to try to find something in the tank to save a little bit of tire, but also try to keep a little bit better pace with them.
And when it comes to leading early, we saw you out in front as our pole sitter night. So how big is the clean air when you have it?
Honestly, I haven't felt a huge difference with clean air. It was really cool to get the pole running the Ryan Newman paint scheme. Hopefully we can get the win, but this race doesn't pay points or anything like that, so it's to bring home the trophy of the steering wheel.
And there we have it. Well, it's going to be one lap to green this time by. So before we get racing in due time, any final thoughts before we, of course, leave this one off and get you back to the action?
I hope everybody's having a good time watching. These cars are really fun to drive. I don't hope that you can, appreciate how hard it is to drive these things. It's like driving on ice. So hopefully we give everybody a good finish, and we'll go get them.
And there we have it, looking to go get him this time by on the inside line of row number 1 for this restart. Scott Zellner leads the way back to the green. And with that being said, we'll drag Zellner right back in and let him get right back to work. We'll go green with a total of 62 laps to go. It is Zellner down low and Garrett Sidnor up high, and it seems like your best contenders from the beginning of this race, the very beginning, are all back in fashion once again. And now with the night sky in effect, these next gens, they're out of the picture. It's all about the beautiful Gen 4s as they come through the backstretch once again. It seems like the stars and stripes on the wall paired with the night sky as clear as it seems with the beautiful stadium lights has allowed each and every one of these cars, Dodges, Fords, Pontiacs, Chevys, and Toyotas to all shine on one stage. 5 manufacturers in this event, over 20 drivers. At the end of the day, still more than 60 laps to decide it. So we will see who comes home as the winner at the end of the day. Download the pit road. It's going to be the iRacing official pace car going, and the green flag will fall once again. Make it a total of 62 laps to go. Live on FTN, the Highline Racing League Coca-Cola 300 sees the restart number 5 in effect. And the yellow flag falls once again for the entirety of the field. They're still wrecking big hits all around. Terry Brooks, Ryan Potter, and we are back under yellow. Second back-to-back cautions that we have seen tonight. So a big hit for a lot of these guys. Let's find out just what happened. It looks like Terry Brooks in the middle of this one. We'll see who's the real cause here. And as they get it restarted once again, it looks like someone misses in the gear. We'll find out who. Looking a bit further up, it looks like Bronson Stafford plows into Patrick Green, and then Green hits another in James McKee. Then it looks like the number 99, or the 43 in this case, gets hit big, and that was a huge one for Terry Brooks. Chance Duckworth gets cut up, Ryan Potter as well. And we're back under yellow as soon as we left it. Now it's Scott Zellner leading the way out in front. It is that number 12 machine holding on, putting up a good fight, and Zellner now going to be able to lead as Terry Brooks gets through the start-finish line, not occupied by the Zellner machine. The 12 is the only man on his lonesome out in the first spot. It's going to be Joshua Southsea in second and Mike Tellier in third. So we've got a bit more time to ask these guys what's going on, and we'll try to get some more feedback from those in the mix. Dylan Petit still looks to be good to go. The 22, while having a bit of damage, is still driving here. We'll try to get a word with the man in that number 22. Holding on, it looks like he comes down to pit road this time by, so we'll wait just a bit. He takes James McKee down low with them, and Joshua Southsea still leads with Mike Tellier right there, and Chad Winstead in third. Up and down, they all go around, and it's going to be now only a total of 60 laps remaining. Chad Winstead finds himself in third. Matthew Rodriguez is there in fourth, and Rodriguez at the moment does not appear to be in any voice chat, so we're going to miss out on his commentary right now. Brad Cresto is in fifth, and Alan Kuhlman is in sixth. We get a word with someone in this field we have not talked to just yet, and it looks like the number 10 machine of Kendall Kerr down on pit road, so we'll try to see what's going on here as the 17 pulls in. It looks like your leader for oh so long, the Dominator down there, and he definitely does have some damage, so bad news for the man in that 17 as Kendall Kerr waits on pit road. Joshua going to be able to lead him through. Mike Tellier in second, Chad Winstead there in third, and for the man in that number 29, Brad Kress holds on in fifth, and he's had a good run so far. So how do you get a word with the man in that fifth spot? That is the 29, Brad Kress, as it stands, working it quite well in that number 29, Kevin Harvick throwback. How's it been up in front?
It's been pretty fun, man. These things are a handful, but they're a lot of fun to drive.
And it's been a lot of fun to watch it so far. Looks like your 29 is mostly clean, and with 60 laps remaining, the home stretch is in mind. What's it going to take to come out advantageous for the win?
I think just trying to take care of these tires on this, hopefully a longer run than what we've had in the last couple of restarts, but I think just taking care of these tires and hopefully having something for them at the end.
And looking to have something at the end is the big thing now. Tires have been in play all night long as a focal point of the strategy. How are you going so far? A limit of 5. What's it going to take to go for you and your current amount?
I'm still doing pretty good. I stayed out on one of those cautions. I've seen a lot of people pitted. I was trying to maybe have a set left in the bank for the end of this race. Hopefully if we get a little short run.
And while we do have a few short runs in a row right now, we are still a little further away than it would be to seal the deal. So what is the most optimal time to get the next yellow for you?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you because these guys were talking, but I'm just taking care of these tires and trying to stay out of trouble on these restarts. It gets kind of chaotic with these cars sliding around everywhere, especially when we're side by side.
And the next gens have been dicey here in Charlotte. America's home for racing has been no stranger to the ups and downs of these Gen 4s. High power, and it's a bit hard to drive. How's it been to your liking?
I mean, I like these cars a lot better than the next gens. The next gens, you can't really, work the throttle to try to get around anybody. And these things, you really got to take care of the tires, and you can actually play around with the throttle through the corners, and it's really in the driver's hands.
And in the driver's hands so far, it's been a driver's night, and Brad Kress with, I believe, 1 lap to go this time or the next. We're going to be going back racing very soon. So with that being said, any final thoughts before we get back to the show?
And I just appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody watching, and hopefully we'll be talking to you guys here at the end.
And that's what we hope to hear. Brad Kress right now outside the podium by only 1 position. Position number 4 as we head back to green this time by. We got to thank Brad for his time as we drag him right back in, working tonight with the Brooks, that number 29 is, and a great throwback representing one of course, all-time NASCAR's greats, Kenny Harvick. Well, Kevin Harvick. Bit different to say Kenny, but as we get right back to it, the only driver out right now by over 50 laps, bar Dylan Bonney, is Robert Kenny. It looks like Scott Wheeler in 21st, and Kenny Brooks is in 20th. The Kenny machine, there 2 down. Terry is 1 down. The rest of your field is still kicking to get this win. The sun is entirely set, and if you stuck with us throughout the entirety of this race, great to have you aboard. 965 subscribers live on FTN, and we are approaching, slowly but surely, the grand old 1,000. If you enjoyed the action so far, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Your support always greatly appreciated. Let's get right back to it, though. This time by, it's going to be restart number 6 on the outside line. Everyone is single file restart, and we are underway once again from Charlotte. And from one Highline rookie to the next, the 25 of Joshua Sousey now leads the way and finds himself up in front of a veteran in Chad Winstead. Winstead, one of the younger veterans in this league, only been here for about 3 seasons at the very most. However, he's turned himself into a driving winning force race after race, and he continues to keep on going like it's nothing. Right down low, the quarter panel, that number 6 machine makes it in and dives it through. Now the Viagra machine goes up high, tries to stretch that gap, and he'll have it working on that number 6. Now down the backstretch, it's going to be a big advantage with that momentum, but Brad Crest cuts it honest, and they'll battle for the podium all over again. Mr. Consistency, though, Matthew Rodriguez is coming to his own after the first yellow flag of this night. He's been in second place for the good majority of it ever since, and now finds himself 1/10 of a second away from Joshua Soucy with 55 laps remaining. Right behind him now he is. And if we took a look off the gearbox of that number 25, it will be a rear end full of the 83. Right down low, now it's going to be Matthew Rodriguez taking it, and he knows the lights are bright here in Concord, North Carolina. If you want to make a move, you make it now. He gets real close to the back bumper that time by, and it looks like that's going to work. Forces him right up high. Rodriguez almost gets room. Close, no cigar. Right down low, Rodriguez slices and dices, and they're going to be quarter panel riding through and through. And this is what it's all about. After so long, 147 laps with only 54 laps remaining, they come off the stretch and they are fighting for dear life for this victory. The 25 has a bit of an edge as they come through the turn once again, 3 and 4. And out of corner number 4, the 25 has an advantage. But look at this, Matthew Rodriguez is getting closer and closer to completion of the pass. The 83 goes down low once again. This time he has a lane and he's got that room. Making it down low, it could be good, and that it is. Now Matthew Rodriguez finds himself up in front with Soucy right behind. Brad Crest going to see another man go around. Chad Winstead, big hit. That's going to be yellow flag. Yellow flag is going to go for Chad Winstead if he gets back on the track, and it looks like, despite the spin, Chad Winstead is not in the racing territory. The yellow flag for the first time tonight does not go for a spin, and Chad finds himself caught out by the way it goes. The number 6 had so good a run going, battling there with the 12 of Scott Zellner. Zellner went up high, and Scott tries to work it. They hook each other, and the 6 goes down around, and just like that, race over. Damage is major, and the winning shot is taken out of contention. The 6 of Chad Winstead had it going so well, and the Viagra machine cannot come back from this one. Elongating the pain, he just has to limp it down a pit road now. Off of the backstretch, a big hit, and now going to be on pit road trying to get that service as 150 laps in. Matthew Rodriguez now leads the way with Joshua Soucy there in second. Right down low, though, going to be Brad Crest going for second spot, and Crest making it work very well so far. A total of now just about 250 miles to the taking so far. We have been slicing and dicing it up so well, but it isn't over yet. We're coming down the wire, and it is getting more and more intense. 50 laps remaining now, and it all comes down to what these guys can do for each and every spot. Tire strategy is now down to 1 pit stop at most, and these drivers will now try to stretch it to go as long as they can. You don't want to risk it on the final 10-lap pit stop. A lap 190 stop would be treacherous, especially here in Charlotte. In the real world, in the World 600, we've seen races won and lost on that late race pit stop. Of course, half distance here tonight, but either way, you don't want to make that mistake that costs you the win, even when it is in sight. And Casey Heschel right now going to be in position. Number 6 working his way off the back. Heschel looking much better than before right now, just outside of the top 5. And for Furniture Row, he has put himself closer and closer to the front row, inching closer and closer to the top spot on the order. The 43 of Ryan Potter stays intact. It's going to be James McKee battling with Justin Gibbs now, and Tyler Rush right there in 10th. Garrett Sidnor going to be in 11th with Braun and Stafford there in 12th. And Bronson, even though he had a dominating run, it seems to be in a bit of control. Lost that time by. That's a big hit on that right side, and the compounded damage has led to him simply being out of winning contention, at least for the rest of the way here tonight. It has been a commendable effort all night long. One of the best contenders in this field, but it looks like it might not be for anything tonight. He put up a good show, a valiant fight, but it might not be in his favor. Matthew Rodriguez in the number 83 machine, a part-time competitor this season in the Premier Series, a pole sitter at Daytona, but nothing much else of note, has found himself up in front in the driver's race, and absolutely nobody else has been on his tail. Slicing and dicing, the 83 machine finds itself up in front and nobody else in contention as the number 83 tries to build a bit of a gap. But look who's there, still in second. Brad Kress is moving and moving very fast. As they come off of turn number 2, the backstretch, it is packed up. And as they keep it moving, the 29 machine, he is grooving. And it looks like Charlotte coming well into the night with this man as it's Chevy on Toyota up in front. Sousey still is in third here. And if anything does happen in the top 2 slice, it could be another man picking up the crumbs. The 25 is still right there. Don't keep him out of your mind. With only 45 laps to go, he could come in for the taking and take it just like that. And that's what the underdogs are for. Scott Zellner stays in 4th right now. Casey Heschel makes his way up into 5th as the 8 and the 48 are side by side off of the backstretch. Teammates, and now the number 48 goes right down low. The blacktop machines are now fighting for the 6th spot. James McKee has the edge. Alec Coogan right there. One man sliding, one man slipping. It's going to be the 24. Does he save it? No, it's going to be multi-car spin, and that brings out the yellow with 45 laps to go. Oh, that's a big hit. The number 10 of Kendall Kerr destroys Tyler Rush all over again. And multiple races are ruined in one foul swoop. My, oh my, that is a brutal, brutal hit. And now Tyler Rush, Kendall Kerr, and Ryan Potter all find their races taken away prematurely. What a hit. Let's watch that back once again to find out just what happened as the 24 of Tyler Rush gets into the number 9 of Justin Gibbs. Gibbs goes sliding here, and he's the first man to get caught out as then Ryan Potter taps the 43. Gibbs actually appears to be saving it in the background. However, these two come into each other, then they spin. Garrett Sidnor gets by very lucky, and this is when Kendall Kerr comes in as well. That number 10, nowhere to go. Huge hit, the hood comes flying off, and that brings out the yellow once again. My oh my, as the number 9 of Justin Gibbs did not save it. He came down to pit road, and that was it as well. My oh my indeed. So many drivers, so many good drivers taking out one foul swoop, and well, the 9 came to pit road. He hit the barrier on his way in, and that was the night. Oh, so close to saving it. Nothing more that could be done. And Matthew Rodriguez at the moment with 43 laps to go finds himself out in front. Right now the track is as dark as it's been, and the number 12 of Scott Zellner now leads over Rodriguez as the 84 gets back up. It's going to be now Mike Tellier there as Rodriguez leads the rest of the field down and in to pit road one more time. And with a total of 42 laps to go, this will be the final pit stop for every driver in contention, no matter what. Unless there's damage, of course, do you want to stay in contention? This will be it. You got to limit your pit stops. And it's going to be James McKee leading Garrett Sidnor out. And then following that, going to be right there with the number 83 of Matthew Rodriguez, Brad Kress, Joshua Sousey, Casey Heschel, Alan Goodman, and then Patrick Green in the 20s. They all work their way off of pit road. Scott Zellner is the man who leads the way, and he finds himself out in front once again for what will be a restart number 7. Great to have y'all tuning in with us, and if you are having a lot of fun watching these 300-mile races on FTN, unbelievably, we've still got one more cooking up on Friday night, and it's going to be a great one for $75. All the marbles there. This has been our schedule for the week. The Ignite Series finished off their season with a 300-mile race. The Octane Series has one next week on Tuesday at the same time, and the Texacon Trucks had their series finale last Tuesday with River Page yesterday, and it was Garrett Sidnor who came home as the champion. As you know, you're watching live on FTN with the Highline Racing League now, and the Premier Series will be tomorrow, and it will be at Bristol for a 150-lap main feature. It's going to be Bristol, baby. Keep an eye out for that. On Friday, it's going to be the Thank the Heroes 300, $75 on the line. If you are an iRacer, it is free to register. Join the IORA Discord in our broadcast description. Love to have you there as well. In addition, the Full Send Super Speedway Series at 4:45, and on Thursday night at 9 o'clock, it will be eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series Round 1 finale. We are packed live on FTN for Memorial Day week, and it's been Memorial Week, a great one, thanking those who served. And it has been an honor to have every driver coming here week after week and night after night, and it's been a special one here on FTN. Charlotte playing host to so many enduring classics, and tonight shaping up to be one of those as well. With Scott Zellner out in front and a little bit of time before the next restart gets going. How about another word? And this time we'll try to get it with someone we have not talked to. Once again, we see that at the moment, guys like the number 16 Garrett Sidnor are not in a voice chat. However, someone who is still in contention that is in a voice chat is going to be the man in that number 22, Dylan Petit, down on pit road here. He's still working things out. Barry Brooks on the lead lap. He is going to be able to get back on his way. Matthew Rodriguez is in 5th, but what about a word? This time by with the number 48 machine. It looks like as it stands, Jason McKee has found himself in position number 3, and we'll see if they go one lap to green this time by. In the case they do, no interview. Don't want to get in these guys' heads all too much. If they do not, good to go from there. 41 laps to go. We'll be going green at the very earliest with 40 to go. If not, it will be 39 laps to go. Time is ticking here in the big one, the Coca-Cola 300 in the Highline Racing League. Out in front, it is Scott Zellner, your race leader, and it's one lap to green this time by, so no interview. Just gonna let these guys get back to work. As the Zellner machine comes on through, he's only got 40 laps to wrap this one off, and if he can get it through the green flag stint, it is gonna be lightning quick. It has been about a half minute each and every lap, and now a lot of these guys are on new tire. The only two not on a new set are Mike Tellier and Scott Zellner. An alternate strategy being played there. The rest of the field is on a new set in its entirety. So watch out and see if it works. It could be the old tires going through all the way. It could be machines like the 48 of James McKee and the rest of the pack falling in and getting them at the checkered flag, and it could be an exciting battle between each and every one of them until we get to that point. The green flag will drop once again. Scott Zellner leading the way. Mike Tellier going to be in 2nd, and then the 48 machine there in 3rd, and James McKee. Let's get going one more time here in Charlotte for what should be a restart. Number 7, the number 12 going to be able to lead us through, and the Rocket Man back out in front. It's Ryan Newman's number 12, piloted by Scott Zellner. We're green once again with only 39 laps remaining. And Zellner this time by gets a phenomenal jump. The rest of the field has to pick up the scraps once again. Single file except for Garrett Sidnor down low and Casey Heschel. And Heschel right there with them will get by. The 16 has to defend. It's going to be Alan Kuhlman going way high to get out of the way. Does not work out. Right down low, the number 8 machine goes one more time. And side by side, they'll come off of the front stretch. It's going to be Alan Kuhlman going for 8th right now on Garrett Sidnor. He gets it. Sidnor clears them. And Patrick Green now looking to get in that single-digit mark. It's Patrick Green in 10th as a battle for 11th now rages between the number 24 of Tyler Rush and Ryan Potter. These number 43 and 24 machines both have some big-time damage, and despite that being the case, these next gens, well, they are not. The Gen 4s have been tanks, and they have worked all the same. Terry Brooks slides it big, saves it, and keeps it going, and with 37 laps to go, Scott Zellner finds himself up in front by 0.3 of a second. Matthew Rodriguez, no matter who's been up there, has been in 2nd. And now his teammate Mike Tellier has been able to gain all the spots back. And the Redmond machines are 2nd and 3rd. Zellner making it through every single turn in. So finds himself out in front with the 84 there. Right behind him, it's going to be 3rd for the 84 with Brad Kress chasing. And Brad Kress wants a podium, if not a bit more. The highest he's ran all night long has been second position for the number 29. He has been good, and he has gotten even better as the night gone on, and now it's going to be big time pressure for that 84, and it looks like Casey Heschel goes right down low and gets the perfect position to go on by, has that lunge in it. It looks like it will work. And that it will. Going to be 3 wide off corner exit. Going to be 1 man to the wall. Tellier once again. They all save it. Kuhlman dives down low. Allen goes through, and he should be good. He gets in the grass, but it is not going to matter all too much. They keep it going. The pass in the grass, it was not, but Southie passes Allen Kuhlman when he was in the grass, and now Joshua in position number 5. Working their way off the back once again. The 25 has Allen Kuhlman now in so. Side by side, Patrick Green is with Mike Tellier, and Mike was up there in the 3rd spot, fading back all the way to 9th, and the 84 is in more and more trouble as it continues to go on. How about that save, though? The 84 brushed the wall, keeps it going, and now has Tyler Rush to deal with. And it could have been much, much worse, but either way, we keep it green just because of some heads-up thinking by each and every driver. Matthew Rodriguez coming down the back leads the way over the man in that number 12. Scott Zellner remains oh so close, but no cigar just yet. And diving deep, Brad Kress gets inch after inch closer to getting it a second. And now going down to the inside line, Brad Kress wants the victory, and he goes down low. Once again, has a shot, does not take it. 33 remain now, 168 laps in, and Brad Kress dives it up high. Where did he come from? Not quite sure. But the 29 machine representing the closer and Kevin Harvick wants to seal the deal in this victory, and he is now as close as it can get. Up high, the 29 stays, now down low, and the 12 finds himself, and he'll get passed by not 1, but 2 drivers at once. And just like that, Scott Zellner finds himself out of the podium. Casey Heschel makes it in 3rd, but Brad Kress has his eyes set on the bigger thing. It's the number 83 of Matthew Rodriguez. Zellner's faded back. Now the 83 leads the way, and with 32 laps to go, we will see whether or not he is here to stay. Very little time up in front as the leader so far, but Matthew Rodriguez has had a promising race no matter how you slice it. From being the man in 2nd at the start to being the man in, of course, 2nd during the middle, and now it appears that number 83 has it made up in front, slicing, dicing. He's already made it nice, and he's got himself an advantage with 31 laps to go as Brad Kress chases him down. There you have it. Brad Kress now 0.3 of a second away from the race lead, and 31 laps remain. All the way we've gone comes down to this final dash. It's going to be a 30-lap showdown from here as Matthew Rodriguez leads him in once again. It is all about this stint. Charlotte, USA, America's home for racing, comes down to one thrilling finish right ahead of us. If you'd enjoyed the race so far, be sure to leave a like on the stream. It is always greatly appreciated, and subscribe to the channel for more high-octane action live on FTN. We'd love to have you aboard. If you're watching so far, we hope it's the best experience you can possibly have. It's been a great one to put on so far, and 171 laps in, we are far from telling this story's conclusion. Make it 29, as the 83 machine has now had Brad Kress at bay for the last 5 laps. And looking further on, Dylan Petit going to be side by side with Tyler Rush. These two are now battling for 7th, and 2 machines with damage now find themselves looking for positions. Now Tyler Rush fades back into 8th, but I'm certain he's not done. Working his way back down low, he gets that clean air, gets the side draft, and gets the overall draft. One more time, looking further indeed. It's going to be James McKee. James McKee off the back bumper spins, and we have a caution with 29 laps to go. Yellow flag falls, and a big hit for Ryan Potter. The yellow flag is out with 29 laps remaining, and we are heading to the yellow flag once again. Let's get an instant replay of the matter live on FTN. The replay falls for James McKee and Patrick Green, and as soon as we focused on these two, they got involved. The yellow flag with now only 28 remaining flies. How about this? And the 48 of James McKee goes off that bumper, and he just finds himself down and around. Look at that. And then comes off the wall, just skidding down, had him foot on the brakes, and Ryan Potter gets blitzed and down into the infield barrier. That's a night in his own right. There's not much more that can be done from there for that number 43. Big time damage to the suspension and perhaps the motor, and he'll have to recover on his own merit here. The Power Pride 48 almost done. The 99, I think that's going to be the race. He is skidding down as the good majority of the field once again comes down to pit road with 27 laps remaining. Joshua Sousey leads him in this time by for what should be your final race off pit road. These yellow flags so late have thrown a wrench in the equation, and it looks like another wrench is in play with another yellow flag coming down to less than 25 green flag laps to go. It's become a bit of a dicey one here on the Highline Racing League's Coke 300, and it's going to be the man up in front. Garrett Silnor leads it from Tyler Rush, Ryan Potter, and then it will be after them the 27 of Tyler Rush. Then it's going to be Brenton Stafford. Garrett Silnor looks to get out a bit late, and Ryan Potter stays on pit road. Matthew Rodriguez continues to lead the overall event, but keep an eye out for the number 22 in Dylan Petit. That number 22 has held his head up high. He had some big time damage about 50 laps ago, and now very little time left. That number 22 finds himself in a potential prime position to go all the way just outside the top 5. Dylan Petit running very well so far in the Bill Davis 22. How's it feeling up in front?
I wasn't expecting an interview as bad as I ran tonight. I'm just here, I guess I could all say. It's been a very rough night. I started off by having problems with my computer deciding just a black screen going into one at full speed, and car's not been the same since. I've pretty much scratched and clawed just to stay in contention, and here we are. I don't know how I'm up here, but just happy to, I guess, be still alive at this point.
And what matters now is that, yes, indeed, you're still in contention. With very little time remaining, you could still get a few more spots on the night. What's the game plan to go from here?
Well, I'm just going to see how the car feels. I've had to fix damage. I've probably had almost about 10 minutes of optional combined tonight to fix, and I still haven't fixed it all in this current run. So steering was decent enough. I was like, I'm just going to go with it and see what happens and see what we got here the rest of the way. And I don't know. We may stay green, but we may have a lot of caution against. I don't know. Just have to wait and see.
And we will wait and see indeed. Now, with just over 25 laps remaining, with this being the case, tire strategy coming down to its final few sets. How many do you have on you so far?
I think I've got all but like one, so I think I've still got one more set. I'm still fairly on fresh tires from the last run, so just gonna wait and see, I guess, what happens, and go from there. And maybe if we get a late caution, maybe we get to put them on, but we'll see.
And still a lot up for grabs later in the going, but when it comes down to it, this might be the first time of the year we see the Gen 4s in the Highline Racing League. Now, next season, all signs point to the Gen 4s coming into the full-time competition. How's it been working with these machines compared to the next gens?
They're a handful, that's for sure. I have been sideways, I think, since lap 1. I mean, you're constantly trying to save this thing because it just takes off, and you really have to be careful with the throttle. So it's definitely a learning curve. I luckily ran another league. You got to kind of get accustomed to this car somewhat, so wasn't completely blind with the Gen 4 package instead of the ARCA car. So we'll just wait and see what happens. Just going to try to hang on to it and try not to get any more wrecks. I know it's been pretty clustered all at once lately, but hopefully we can clean it up and have a good finish to the race and bring this 22 car home at least somewhat in one piece.
And that we hope to see Dylan Petit out in the 8th spot. Any final thoughts?
Just thanks Dylan Buddy for the car. Wish it was a little bit cleaner. I wish it wrecked less than about 2 or 3 times, but it is what it is. Just gonna go and head down and see what happens here.
And there we have it. Dylan Petit going to keep on pushing, and we will thank him for his time and let him get right back to the work. Dylan Petit in the 22 finds himself right beside Scott Zellner as Matthew Rodriguez and Brad Crest, the new titans of this race, will lead us down to the green flag one more time. It's restart number 8 here in the Coca-Cola 300. And while this could be the last, we are still not yet sure. 176 laps in, time is of the essence, and many drivers have found themselves in a bit of an issue either one way or the other. Download the iRacing official pace car. Goes in the iRacing official pace car. Lets Matthew Rodriguez in the control car for restart number 8. Back underway with 24 laps to go. We're really racing it now in Charlotte. And Matthew Rodriguez holds his head up high, coming out of the second turn. Going to be able to lead the way with now Alan Goodman in second and Casey Heschel going 3 wide for third. How about this? Goodman going to be able to run it up high, almost gets to the Zounder, saves it. And now the number 8 machine keeps himself intact. That could have been much, much worse, but thankfully everyone thinks better of it and keeps it going. 83 leads the way with 3/10 the gap with 23 laps to go. And with that in mind, 23 left here in the next-gen spectacle of the Highline Racing League, and next lap by, make it 22 to go, and we'll do a crank it up with the best cameras on iRacing. TrackCameras22.com presenting your high-quality onboard cameras each and every night of racing, and we love using them as much as we hope you enjoy seeing them. With 23 laps to go, make it 22. Let's crank it up. 22 to go. Crank it up, courtesy of TrackCams22.com. With only 18 laps to go, the lead battle, it's getting me a bit twisted. They are out in front, and they are digging up high. It's going to be the Rocket Man of Scott Zounder back out in front. Joshua Salcy in second, and look who is back for the taking. In the third spot, Bronson Stafford, from a good made race to what has been a subpar rest of the way, finds himself there with 18 laps left. And what a time to be alive in that Ford Fusion. That number 17 has had to claw his way all the way back up and now finds himself in winning contention after all the hardship early in the going. A few men going down and around. Are they going to be out? It looks like no. Everyone saves it. And we keep it going. Patrick Green and Tyler Rush way slow on the circuit. And we will find out just what happened. That looks to be it for Tyler Rush, as a matter of fact. He disconnects from the session, it looks like, and we will instant replay to see what the incident was. Patrick Green in the 20, right behind Tyler Rush. Rush comes off the corner. He gets tagged by that 87. That's going to be the first incident. The 20, as a matter of fact, goes right down low. And then it looks like they both wash up just a bit high with 16 remaining. Big time implications. No yellow flag for this. They all barrel inside, and nobody else hits them. A safety yellow it could have been, but thankfully it was not. They all keep it going, and it's bad news for Tyler Rush and the 87 on our end. It was the 20 on timing, as it looks like just like that, the yellow flag does come out, and this time by comes out for Bronson Stafford, and Stafford goes around, and he's caught up in the back of that fencing. Yellow flag out for the 9th time tonight. And it looks like the yellow will fall either way. Bronson Stafford involved, and he will be now 13th on the board. Only 13 drivers remain. Let's find out just what happened here to Bronson as he was racing deep with Joshua Salcy, and he gets hooked. And And simply put, that number 17 machine goes down and around. Nothing more that could be done. And now finding himself in the wall. Bronson back on the way, but in 13th as Scott Zellner leads the way with 15 laps to go. We'll see if they come down a pit road this time by, and it looks like they will not. Looks like many drivers right now not able to afford that to happen. So with that being said, we'll take this down to an FTN nonstop with only 15 laps remaining. We have gone through every driver we could take a look at so far for interviews, and it's going to come down to such a small distance. There's going to be tempers flaring. Oh boy, it's not over. They're going to be door banging down to the infield, and it's going to be Bronson, my oh my, sending the message, and he's done. That is the night, and Bronson disconnected just like that. Joshua Southey, he's good. And it looks like the 17 gets ejected just like that. Such a good race for him, but it all comes down to a very late ejection for the number 17. He sent the message, and the message got sent right back to him. Return to sender, the 25 has his due and stays out on the track, big time flaring. And that is something else. The 17 done for the night. Nothing comes out of it. No wreck machines. But one ejection there, disconnection. And now the 25 finds himself in second unharmed. Scott Zellner still leads. And after that moment, we'll still send it down to an FTN nonstop. And thank all the people who brought this broadcast to you live on FTN. We will be right back. Give us just a moment as we return after these brief messages.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Being said and done, that was your Fireball Talks nonstop section of the night. I want to thank once again all our great associates for bringing that one right there to you, as we will come back with only 11 laps left after this point. It has been great so far, and it is far from over. See what these guys have in store from here on out, as Scott Zellner leads the way down low, and the rest of the field is there to follow. With Joshua Southey going to be there on that higher side right next to him. It's going to be the 25 machine for UAW Delphi. It is the one of the only, of course, Joshua Southey with Scott Zellner, then Garrett Sidnor, and from there on out, it comes down to the man in that number 83, Matthew Rodriguez. Many good drivers all caught up in the same act, in the same mouth, and on the same tongue. 12 laps to go. A dozen make it less than that. The iRacing official pace car fades in, and this will be restart number 9. It's going to be less than a dozen this time through. Let's Go Racing once again. 11 laps to go, led by Scott Zellner. And the yellow flag is out once again. Let's find out what happened. Alan Goodman involved, and this one's going as long as it can. And my, oh my, let's take it back, find out just what happened. The restart got stacked up, and we are suddenly under yellow once more. A big push off the exit there. 8 of Alan Goodman gets caught up in it, and it looks like the 78 of Casey Eschel gets into Rodriguez, then gets to the Goodman. And yet another bunch of drivers involved and taking out Patrick Green, the 84 Mike Tellier. And now many more find themselves caught up in the act. 10 laps to go. Scott Zellner still leads it. And we are suddenly under yellow once again. This one is going to go down to the wire. And it looks like it's going to be a single-digit restart that decides it. Not the 110 to go, as you can see on your screen. How about that? It all changes once again. And now, the number 8 machine has some big-time damage to Last Man Racing. 12 drivers remain, and it is the number 12 who leads the way. Let's try to get an interview once again. Looks like we still have a bit more time till all is said and done. How about that? Yet another big hit there, and it looks like we're down to only 12 drivers remaining. Say what you will, but if you are still in this one, you've been able to put on the pressure and the power. Casey Heschel gets caught up in the most recent incident, but he still appears to be going here. Let's try to get a word with the man in that number 49 and try to drag him in. It looks like it'll still be good enough to continue with such little time remaining. Slowly but surely working his way up into the broadcast booth. It's the 49 machine of Casey Heschel with 9 laps to go, and it looks like running out of drivers here. You're there in 6th. What's the game plan from here on out?
I have no clue, to be completely honest. I have not been good this entire time, and these things are a handful, and I think it's just going to be survival at this point.
And when it all comes down to such a short restart, survival might just be the way. Tire strategy is all but stalled out now, and it looks like we might have less than 5 laps to decide this win. So for your case, still in the middle of what's left of the field, how do you feel about the car so far and what it can do?
It's been a lot of fun running this car at this track. It's been a handful. I think the 12 car has been probably the best out of the top 5, 6, 7 here in the last few laps. So I think he's going to be one to watch. And that 25, I think it's going to give him a run for his money, but I think Scott will probably pull it out.
And a lot of drivers up in front to keep an eye out for. And of course, with such little time, anyone could get it done. What's it going to take for you to find yourself up in that battle?
Top 5 direct, probably. I just want to, my goal right here is beat Terry Brooks. That way I can be the best Kenny Wallace machine on track tonight.
There we have it, a bit of competition between paint schemes, so we still have a little more time going. So with that being said, tires, we said the strategy is all stalled out. You're on a 19-lap old stint. If you had to pit, what would it take for you to keep on going?
I honestly, I don't know. I think I should have put a little bit more practice into these cars. I thought I was going to just be able to hop in like I do on Thursdays and run a few practice laps and be good, but that is the complete opposite of what has happened today. So probably just a little bit more practice, and maybe if I had one more set of tires, I'd be sitting good right now, but here we are.
And here we are indeed. Going to be a 7-lap shootout when we get going this time by. So Casey, any final thoughts?
I hope these last 6, 7, 8 laps go green here. That way we can see a good battle for the win and not finish this thing under yellow.
And that we'd love to see. Casey Heschel currently in the 6th position as we drag him right back into his voice chat. Heschel going to be on his way. Let's get him right back to work as the single file restarts are back. 8 laps to go. This one has been stretched to the brim. I'm not quite sure if we can go any further. Going to be a 7-lap shootout. Scott Zellner up high leads Joshua Sousey, Barrett Sidnor, and Terry Brooks as they work their way in once again. Let's go right back at it down low. The pace car goes for what will be Restart number 9. Let's get back at it. This time through, Scott Zellner leads him, making a Super 7 lap to go battle, and Zellner takes him down the line here with only 7 laps remaining. And a fantastic start for your 2 men up in front. Joshua Southey right on that back bumper here. And he's going to be able to work his way out of the backstretch with a good advantage on the man in third. Looking off that gyro camera, you can see all the movement inside the cockpit. It's going to be a challenge for this number 25 machine as once again Zellner pulls out a good advantage, making 6 laps to go, and they're coming down to checkered flag territory. If we were to get a yellow flag, they just want to go under green. The 78 now has the 22 right up high. It's going to be a big-time run for Dylan Petit. Petit gets that edge. Brad Kress going to cover. Multiple cars battling here. Mike Tellier going to try to split in the middle on Chance. Duckworth goes down low on Chance, and he's going to take a chance on the down low line. Tries to make the pass work. It looks like he will. Comes up high. No use. The 88 machine has damage, and it's going to be the Mike Tellier machine now in 8th. As they come across, it's going to be a total of 5 laps to go for Scott Zellner to get this one done in what has been the longest race in the Highline Racing League this year. It all comes down to a total of a 5-lap dash if the number 12 machine can hold on. There's still many other drivers who have a shot, one of which now Joshua Southey, but look who's in third. It's going to be Dylan Petit, and it looks like Dylan now going to be in fourth as a matter of fact, but Garrett Sidnor is right there in third. Take a look at that. The number 16 machine in the podium, and with 4 laps remaining, capitalizing off a big championship win last night, he could go back-to-back if he gets a run on that 25 with only 0.2 of a second remaining. This is all she wrote. The 25 machine for UAW Delphi has only a few more opportunities to reel in that number 12. Last lap by was quicker by 3/100ths of a second. This time by, what will the record show as they come down the line one more time? It's the number 12. He runs a 4.18. He was quicker, and they'll be dead even with 3 laps remaining. And it's a 1/4 of a second that separates your top 2 men. Time and time once more off the backstretch. Joshua Southey has that momentum. It looks like it will not carry him to the lead. He could make a lunge at it, but right now it seems like it simply will not work. Green-white checker from this point onward without a yellow flag. It's going to be 2 laps to go. Lap 199 is in session, and it all comes down to how the man in that number 12 manages the final 3 laps. This is what we've all been waiting for here and now. The final 3 miles, the final 2 laps. It's going to be Joshua Southey going way up high, tries to make that momentum work. He gets a big push off the exit, but he's only dead even with where he was before. Digs down deep. He's got to think of everything with a 1.5 mile lap remaining. This is it off of corner number 4. Make it 1 lap to go for the number 12 machine of Scott Zellner. One man still continues to chase him, but I don't believe there's anything more that can be done. Or a mistake. It's a 0.2 of a second gap. It's going to be a big drive up high for the 25 machine. Joshua Southey tried. Will he try again? We'll find out. Down the backstretch this time by, and Scott Zellner makes it down low. Southey puts a lunge to it, goes up high, puts that momentum to work, pushes the pedal to the metal, but off of corner number 4, after 300 miles, your recent winner of the Premier Series goes back-to-back in the Highline Racing League. Rocket Man from pole to the victory. Scott Zellner wins in the all-town number 12 in an all-out incredible battle to the checkered. Scott Zellner wins at Charlotte, and he wins the Highline Racing League Coca-Cola 300. And Zellner makes his way in to celebrate this victory. What a win for the man in that number 12. Scott Zellner defeats the field and gets it done. At the end of the day, drivers coming to congratulate him. Southey second, and then Garrett Sidnor in third. Scott Zellner wins from Joshua Southey, half a second off, with Garrett Sidnor in third indeed. Dylan Petit comes home fourth, with Casey Heschel fifth, and then Brad Kress in position number 6. It's going to be Terry Brooks 7th, and Patrick Green in the number 20 in 8th, Chance Duckworth in 9th, and Mike Tellier in 10th. And as we go on from there, it's Alan Goodman, position number 11. Last man to lead lap going to be Matthew Rodriguez. A great race for him all around, just does not come to fruition. at the end. Bryson Stratford going to be the first man of the retirees. He's 13th with Tyler Russian 14th. Ryan Potter 15th. James McKee there in 16th. And then Kendall Kerr in 17th. Justin Gibbs comes home in 18th spot. It's going to be Chad Winstead in 19th. Then Kenny Brooks in 20th. Then from there on out, Scott Wheeler in 21st. And Robert Kenny in 22nd with Dylan Body position number 23. And as the number 12 machine makes his way in, Rocket Man looking forward to celebrating this one as he gets to burn down the house here in Charlotte, the America's home for racing, and he's here to celebrate it like it's the biggest win of his career. And as Scott Zellner continues to burn down the house, putting it back in motion to get to the front stretch. And as the checkered flag has fallen, the number 12 machine puts it down on the front stretch, and there you have it. The number 12 of Scott Zellner comes home as your race winner and able to convert a pole position after 300 miles of racing into a race win. Scott Zellner, you get it done here in Charlotte. How do you feel after this one?
Oh, yeah, that feels really good, really good. I definitely took a gamble trying to save a set of tires in the pits, and I'll be honest, I didn't think anybody else had tires, but it looked like KC and the 25 both came down there with me and also got tires. But man, the seas parted on that last restart with me in like 7th place, and wow, just feels really good. This was a really long race. It was a race of attrition, and really glad that we had a good long run speed car, and everything worked out.
And everything able to work out in the end, coming down to a very short run. And we saw the big runs, we saw the tire strategy, we saw the yellow flags and the chaos. What played in the most to find you up in front to succeed here in tonight's event?
Honestly, that last set of tires giving me a little bit of an edge at the end there. But I think All Night had probably the best long run car. I think the 17 had the real good short run speed. It just came down to saving some tires. Surprisingly, I was able to do so because before we hopped in the server, I couldn't even make one full fuel run. So to be able to come out here and actually win the race, I mean, man, that's crazy. I'm just super pumped and really glad everything worked out. Thanks to Scott Wheeler, my teammate at Four Horsemen, for sticking around. I know he got taken out early. Crew chief and me to the end there. Man. Just so happy right now. It was awesome.
And a phenomenal victory at the end of day. The longest race we intend to have this year in the Highline Racing League. And endurance seems to be your strong suit at the tail end of the way. Now, there's no other event like this coming up on any sort of schedule that we're aware of. But the next gens, we might see them next season. This might be a precursor to what we see in the future. So with that being said, what is the overall consensus from you coming out of this one using the Gen 4 for the first time here in this league?
Honestly, I'm surprised we had a lot of green flag racing. I know we had a couple cautions that bred some other cautions towards the end, but I was really surprised everybody was able to hang on to it because these cars are, they're a handful to drive, but man, are they fun. And if this is any indication on how Season 16 for HLRL is going to go, y'all better watch out.
Absolutely coming back in a great way, winning the Premier Series and then following it up with another win here in Charlotte. Unstoppable so far. The number 12 tonight has been, and Scott Zellner coming home as a winner of the Coca-Cola 300. Any final thoughts to wrap this one off?
Yeah, as always, thanks to my Four Horsemen teammates. Caleb couldn't join tonight, but thanks to Scott for coming out. Thanks to my whole family that's back home watching. Thanks for putting on the broadcast. Thanks to Kendall, Toby for putting on the league, and also this special event. It was really fun, really cool to see all the old school paint schemes. And I think we had somebody up on the tower tonight. So thanks to Dylan Body for taking the admin role. And we'll move on to Bristol tomorrow night. Not as confident of a driver on short tracks, so we'll see how tomorrow goes. But 2 wins in a row, can't beat that with a stick.
Absolutely on a tear. Scott Zellner gets it done. This time by in the Gen 4s for a victory in the Coca-Cola 300. Thank you for your time, and what a race it was for the number 12 and Rocket Man.
Thanks, bud.
And there we have it. Scott Zellner going to be on his way. The number 12 gets it done. And it looks like at the moment we don't see anyone looking for an interview here. So we'll look for one more minute or so and then we'll wrap up this show. Once again, second position was Joshua Southsea. And then in third, it was Garrett Sidnor. Both of which look to be done for tonight. And for good reasons. A bit later than usual. We're done with these Highline races about an hour later, as a matter of fact. Nonetheless, a phenomenal show, and it looks like both of those guys will not be coming in for an interview. Just simply not much time we can spare here. It's going to be midnight, and it will be Thursday, and we will be racing in 1 minute's time today, Bristol Motor Speedway, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Keep an eye out for that. A doubleheader on FTN coming up soon after a phenomenal 300-mile show here in Charlotte. Scott Zellner gets it done in the Highline Racing League and our presentation on FTN of the Coca-Cola 300. Gotta thank y'all for your time watching live on FTN here tonight. Definitely a special one to see with the Gen 4s coming out to shine to the throwback paint schemes. And we hope to have y'all back whenever we're live on FTN. Thank you all for your support. And we will return today, just later on down the road. 2 incredible broadcasts coming at you. Once again, thank you for your support. And from our studio to your homes, we thank you dearly for your time and for your support watching live on FTN.